You are listening to Within Tolerance, a podcast for machinists by a machinist. I'm your host, Dylan Jackson of Protein Machining, and this is the IMTS special episode. Last week, I was in Chicago for IMTS, and big thanks to Toolpath Labs and the entire team there for building a podcast booth for us. We had a bunch of podcasts recording out there. I want to say it was, full every single day. And I was lucky enough to secure the first thing in the morning spot. Zap and I jumped in there every morning, started the day off right, recapped, the last night and days shenanigans. And yeah, it was just a ton of fun. So big thanks to all of my guests who came out and shared the booth with me. Absolutely massive thanks to Zap for just being a wonderful person to start the day off with. And coming up, you'll hear, I think, 5 or 6 little 30-minute episodes that I recorded either every day or a couple a day. And I hope you enjoy. You are listening to Within Tolerance, a podcast for machinists by a machinist. I'm your host, Dylan Jackson of Protein Machining, and I am coming to you from IMTS Day 1. Guys, introduce yourself. Who do I have with me?
Zappettini Consulting.
Graham Francis, Lights Out Manufacturing.
I got goosebumps. This is awesome. this is so cool.
Yes. Yeah. In the Toolpath podcast booth. This is, I can't thank DSI and Toolpath for putting this together enough for us. This is super, super cool.
Yeah.
So give us the update, guys. Like, you've been here for a week. I got in yesterday. Yeah. Saw that, kind of madness, but you've been living the madness. So. Yeah.
He's been here longer than I have.
Right.
So I'll let him go first.
This place is crazy. I can't believe it actually all came together.
Yeah. Even being here last night, there was no carpet down the aisles. There's like trash boxes everywhere. Yeah. I can't believe what has happened in 12 hours, I think.
It's a fucking magic trick.
It literally is, yeah.
That's what I was kind of adamant about. You can't, unless you've experienced it, it's hard to understand. But when you come here Monday morning, you see all these people here and you're like, how the fuck do they do this?
Oh, 100%.
How do they do this?
Yeah.
It is a magic trick.
Yeah. And I mean, all the machines, all the everything. And walking through yesterday, there was carts and carts of TV boxes.
Right.
You don't even think about all the little TVs and displays, and there's thousands of them.
Yeah, there is a really cool booth that's right. Cool. It's fucked up actually, but it's right down from us. That says, what does it say? It's don't get screwed by a booth setup company. We're reliable, and it's brought to you by IKEA. And I guess they paid somebody to design and set up their booth, and it's legit just IKEA furniture and a sign that they made. It's nuts.
That's amazing. I mean that would be probably a really good way to throw stuff in your booth. You need a couple chairs and stuff. Why pay thousands of dollars for booth stuff?
Yeah, shit is fucking pricey here.
Yeah,
and it's absolutely crazy yesterday, absolute madness, and then all of a sudden Union goes on break and it's dead quiet.
Yeah. I was talking. There was one Union guy I was talking to, who's basically just following around like a boom, and his job is wear a vest and stand at the bottom to make sure, hey, watch out, and he's like, I'm getting paid $100 an hour. It's that's supposed to be family time, but I'll do it Wednesday. Sick.
So, Graham, you don't have to get into hard numbers, but can you give people an idea of what all this costs for you guys? Rough numbers of, I think that a lot of people know that it's an insane amount of money, but are we talking, I just think it would be interesting to kind of talk through how you deal with that, because this is your first IMTS, right?
This is my first IMTS as an exhibitor, and I wish I had a better idea on costs, honestly, because so many people came together to make our demo possible that I didn't cover a whole lot of costs. I had to pay shipping to get a machine here, and material.
Yeah,
a lot of material,
right? Yeah, a lot of material.
Yeah, I know. I've heard a few people that they're Lights Out is cutting the entire time. It's
yeah.
It's going to be epic.
Bought a lot of material initially, too. Slight miscalculation.
Yeah.
In the right direction, at least.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah, better over than under, for sure. But I was by your booth yesterday. The demo looks awesome. It was really cool to talk to your team. And even the little things you guys do, the laser under the cart, I thought was so cool. He was like, oh, you got to step back because it's not going to go full speed. And I was looking around. I'm where's the laser? What are you talking about? A laser guard. And he's like, oh, it's buried underneath the pedestal, so you can't even see it. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's hidden. It was hard. We had a little UR pep talk this morning with all the people in the booth because there's a whole bunch of different vendors with different, and I'm like, oh man, I don't even know where to start here. We've got Chatter, we've got Chris doing parts.
Yeah, Chatter's on there. That's good. It's like we were talking on the way over here. It's like this is probably you look at the machine, it's stickered up like a soccer jersey. You know, like it's like Toolpath, me, Lights Out, Chatter's there, Within Tolerance is on there.
Nice.
Everybody, Shunk is on there, Frasia's on there, HWR is on there, because like it was just like so many pieces coming together. Like the Shunk gave us all the holders.
I saw you stand at the machine this morning, and I was like, oh, it looks like you and all your tattoos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, this guy's covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a really nutty experience because I the only time I've been an exhibitor is when I was with Methods in 2016, and I came in kind of late and I set up like this like dinky little demo or whatever, and this is very involved. It doesn't feel like it kind of like sometimes. I mean, from my point of view, because like all I did was the cutting, or like I cut 17 of the 25 parts. 2 of which we came up with on Friday. You know, Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, because we were at 23, and I was like, well, I said 25. We got to do 25.
Right. A little bit of a humble brag
yeah,
there.
so that's...
just 17 out of 25. No big deal.
Well, it's really easy when they don't matter, you know?
Right.
It's like, what material do we have? And like, it's like, well, bottle opener is easy, and the other one's a fucking coaster with my logo on it. And so like we like showed up. We got power Thursday. We didn't get coolant Thursday, and like we got coolant Friday. We started cutting Friday. Cutting pretty much went pretty well the whole time, and then just watching these guys like troubleshoot little things like that you don't anticipate necessarily. Like, oh, the material is just a little bit bigger, or like it's because it's all saw cut on like 4 sides.
Right.
It's like, how do you like? It's an interesting thing to experience, having just experienced it in Arizona. Watching these guys experience that, it's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And just like everybody sits on the ground. These guys, they sit on the ground,
Little
but
huddle.
like literally right around the robot, and then it's like everybody's arguing, and then Troy's like, got it, and then it's done. Yeah, it's so funny.
So you brought up coolant. Explain to us how you get coolant and chips, or coolant into a machine and chips out of a machine at IMTS, because I think that's part of this wizardry. Is like there's people cutting all day, making these parts, and we're like, how did you get 100 gallons of coolant in, and where do these chips disappear to? So how is that figuring that out?
I'll tell you everything I know, but I'm still not sure I understand it, to be honest. So every person I asked coming to this show had a different answer as to how it was going to get handled and what was going to happen. And I was coming up with plans for like, I'm just going to buy some FedEx boxes and start hucking them in trash cans. And even the water was funny because there's a bathroom closet nearby that I was like, I know there's a sink in there that I could fit a bucket in. And they're like, oh, we can't let you in there. Like, I'm going to get fired by my boss. And so we had to pay for water service. And this guy comes over and he's got this huge hose. And he's like, we got to find this plug in the floor. It's probably under the carpet to like get you water. And I'm like, there's a sink right over here we could use. He's like, he goes over there and it just so happens it's unlocked at that moment. He's like, oh, sick. We'll just use this. Like, right on the ground. Like, I could have done that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Especially because like we had to mix it ourselves, you know?
So he just was the water guy.
Literally brought buckets of water over.
Oh,
and
cool.
that was it.
Cool,
I was
cool,
like,
cool.
oh, all right, tight.
Wow. And then you guys kind of got screwed by being in automation where they shut the power off every day at 5. So how has that been? Like, you're working to a hard deadline where all these guys in the machine tool side are like, oh, we'll be here till 2, whatever, you know.
It's kind of nice. I think it's kind of nice.
It is kind of nice because we can just go home. You're like, we can't work anyway. We
Yeah.
just got to take some time off. And you can pay for a 24-hour power line.
Oh.
But
I'm
it's
sure
just
it's
extra money, and we're like,
Yeah.
you know,
crazy money, too.
it doesn't matter.
Also, like, with how we all kind of work the same, which is like, if given the opportunity, you work forever, you know? But you kind of have to lock in when you're cut at 5. It's like, all right, they're cutting the power in 12 minutes. Let's fucking figure this out right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But all the union people are super nice.
Yeah.
They are super easy to work with. They are like super friendly. I wasn't expecting that at all.
Right. Yeah. Well, money greases the wheels, right? Like,
Yeah, a little bit. Some guys wouldn't take it. It was
Which is
weird.
great.
I'd like
Yeah.
try to tip them. They'd be like, no, I'm going to get fired. But then they were my best friends.
all right.
They're like, well, I appreciate the offer, so
Yeah.
we're good.
Right. Yeah.
Works
You're a
the
good
same.
person. I'll help you out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. That's really cool. So you guys have been here for a few days. You've seen much more of the show than I have.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me. Like, what are you guys excited about going to see? Like, I mean, obviously you're going to be at your booth a lot of the time, but you've seen a lot of cool stuff. Like, what's been exciting?
For me, it really, like, we walked around the show. Like the most exciting thing for me is really just like seeing all the boys, you know, and the people that we know. It doesn't seem like there's necessarily like new technology. At least I haven't seen it yet. There are a shitload more collaborative robots than there were last time.
Yeah.
And like, because we were talking about it, it's like last night we were talking about like Hanwha Robotics has a giant booth in there, and I'm like, I bet they didn't exist 2 years ago.
Right.
And so we looked it up, and Hanwha Robotics is a year old.
Really?
With that booth. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are surrounded by a sea of UR copies. It's like Friendly Robotics, Hanwha. Like, it's like I was walking through and I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, and like that, you can speak to that, which is like UR published some numbers and it just fucking set the industry on fire.
Oh, really?
Yeah, nobody knew how many robots UR was actually selling, and they put out this marketing campaign of like, oh, I don't remember the number, but it was like 400,000 cobots or something. All of a sudden, the next year, every robot company has a cobot.
Yeah.
They're like, wait, there's a market there? Oh shit.
And Hanwha, I was reading, they're like a massive South Korean company. Like they advertise at like the giant stadium in San Francisco, like behind the plate advertising, so they're huge.
Right. I know the name. I just the robotics part of it was new.
Fuck it, we'll fire that up. They make Swiss machines, they make fucking everything, and that's whatever.
We'll
get in there.
That is crazy. And it was weird seeing Makino back too, because I'm pretty sure they've been absent at least one IMTS.
Yeah, I don't think they were there last time.
And they've got like a big booth, like up front too.
Huge.
Yeah.
I think the turnout's going to be huge, because when I was here for Automate, everyone was talking about like, we never thought Automate was going to come back. And this is busier than pre-COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
How was preparing for Automate different than preparing for IMTS for you guys? I mean, obviously you didn't have the UMC, but in terms of just like general things, like how is that different?
This is way bigger. There's so many more details to manage. And I can't imagine, honestly, I think it would be almost identical to Automate, except for the machine is the big difference. I know, like, a machine aside, but that's what changes everything.
Yeah. But I imagine it's because it's your machine. It's like, that's kind of atypical for an IMTS thing. Like, it seems like usually you partner with Haas, and Haas gives you the machine, and then, you partner with somebody else and they give you this, and like, you're not really bringing hardware besides your own little stuff to the show. So like, how was that? How nerve-wracking was that, I guess, like bringing your own UMC to the show?
Let's just say I was here like when the truck pulled up waiting for it.
Yeah, I bet. It's cool to see though. Like it is, we were talking yesterday. I'm very glad that the halls are as big as they are. Cause like when Chris told me you guys were the only one cutting in automation, I was super worried. I was like, that like people might get pissed off if like you're just like railing on an AX FPS all day, every day. And then we came up and we're like, oh, it's like I can't even hear it 2 or 3 booths over, or like barely, it's background noise. It's not annoying at all.
Yeah, it is surprising because like when it's in a shop that's like enclosed, you're like, oh my god, this is so loud. Wide open ceilings. You're like, oh, this is fine.
Oh yeah,
people still know, like,
oh for sure.
But it's not like it is not annoying at all.
Yeah, it's a calling card, not an annoyance.
It was more annoying.
Kind of feels like you're machining outside because this place has its like
that's a really
own
good
weather
point.
system.
Yeah.
How was it seeing these halls empty? Because like I feel like that would be the most surprising thing. I've only been here when there's a million booths and I can't see more than 10 feet down a hallway or something. I can't imagine seeing one of these massive halls empty. Like it must be like an empty football stadium, basically.
I didn't see it empty. I was here a week ago, and
it was
there
already built up.
Already people putting stuff up.
And honestly, like, coming in on Thursday, it's wild because it's like more stuff than what you see now, because there's like crates everywhere. Like walking around is like a maze. You're like, well, I'll go down this way and I'll go down that way, and then you get blocked, and then there's a forklift and like booms everywhere. It's hazardous.
Yeah, well, even walking out of your booth yesterday, like I feel like I almost got hit by 3 or 4 forklifts or any number of carts or whatever.
Yeah. Towards the end of the week, they stopped honking and making themselves known as much. They're just like moving. They're like, "Fuck it, dude, we need to get out of here."
Totally. And tight doesn't even like begin to describe it. You literally get to a wall of like 6 foot tall crates, and you're like, "Oh, I gotta walk to the other side of the building and get around this or climb over."
Oh yeah.
I humped a 205 by 125 HWR vise from the West Hall over to the booth, and I kept making wrong turns, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so heavy. I was like that and the boots. Oh, by the way, HWR, I don't know if they're doing it the whole time, but they have they're giving out like half-liter boots.
DOS boot
with their fucking HWR logo on it. They're fucking cool.
Damn. Well, this will go out to Patreon members tonight. So if anybody's here who's a Patreon member, they'll. So I guess what's your biggest worry going forward? Like where are you putting your attention for the next week?
Oh man, the worry's over.
Okay,
Get the
good.
machine landing, getting plugged in, getting everything set up. I'm like so happy right now. I'm excited. I feel like I just got to Disneyland.
Right.
Just got settled in my hotel room. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Killer. Because you've got 2 of your guys with you right now?
Yep, we've got 2 right now. One of them's going to leave this afternoon. He was here for setup, and then our founder's showing up on Wednesday.
Sweet. I'm looking forward to meeting Troy for the first time in person. Like I haven't talked to him in years.
Yeah, at least 2 or 3.
2 or 3 years.
He was on like episode like 27.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, he was one of the first guests, so it'll be interesting to actually meet him and talk to him again and catch up. That'd be really cool. Yeah.
He was holding out. He was like, I don't know if I'm going to come to IMTS, and I didn't say anything because I knew it was going to get to him because he was a huge instrumental part putting this whole thing together, right? And then finally he's like, I'm coming. I was like, I know.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What about getting everything set up? Like, how has the cutting been? How's automation been? How is like dealing with those problems, integration problems at the show?
The cutting side has been smooth. Like we pretty much had like all the cutting done. Like the biggest trouble was like on this, I broke a tool because I ran the RPM too slow. You know,
Chris.
I know. But Graham was like, make it deeper, and I was like, all right, I'll make it deeper, and then I fucked it up.
Rookie move.
Yeah, but other than that, and like Tim changed one program to like clean up some chatter or whatever. Outside of that, like I'm like so happy that because you just don't know, like being set up in like an actual shop versus like whatever this fucking floor is, like what's gonna happen,
right?
And it's fine. It's been fine.
Good,
because like we're not cutting light. You know,
oh
it kind of sounds like we are, but we are fucking ripping.
Yeah.
And so I was like, thing's gonna break, but we have plenty of tools, pretty much.
Except for that one tool.
Except for that one tool, but Joel's bringing it with him. Yeah, I don't know. I'm fucking stoked.
Yeah.
I'm super stoked.
Doug messaged me the other night, and he was like, "Oh, Joel's coming now," and I was like, "Was he not coming?
He wasn't
the whole time. I thought he was."
I pestered him. Joel pestered him. Joel's like, "Why aren't I coming? I have so many people reaching out to me. Why aren't I coming?" And I was like, "Yeah." I reached out to Doug. I was like, "Joel has to come."
Mm-hmm. Good. I'm glad he is.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Nah, it's been sick.
Yeah, it was cool. I got to go over to the Kern booth after we came to Toolpath yesterday and see all their stuff early. They've got a really cool hydrostatic demo. Did you get to play with that?
I haven't. That's where this morning I was walking around with my customer from Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
The guy way out on the west side.
Okay.
Because he's like a nerd like us, and he's like, I'm gonna be like a toddler in there. They're gonna have to drag me out, and I was like, I could get you a badge. so I definitely didn't give him a badge that has my name on it.
No, you would never do that.
Absolutely not.
No.
I got him his own badge for sure.
Of course.
Wink.
Yeah.
And I left him at the. We walked around the whole show, both halls, or north and south building, and then I left him at Kern, and I snagged Zach, and then Zach and I walked back to the UR booth. So I met Dan and Zach just now. That was cool. But I haven't played with that demo yet.
Awesome. Yeah, it was crazy because I didn't realize it was a Marv part that's sitting on there. So you were looking at me like you haven't seen it. Their newest machine has hydrostatic A and C axis as well, in addition to X and Y.
Whoa.
And so they have a demo that's just like a trunnion sitting out on a pedestal, and you can just free spin the entire chuck like by hand, like
Really?
easily, like super easily. It's insane. There's just so much cool stuff. I'm really stoked to walk around. I'm gonna spend a lot of time in this wing, I think, but there's nothing I want to buy in this wing, which is strange.
Yeah.
Like I already bought my machine for the year, so I'm like, all right, the things I actually want to buy are west and east, I think. So
What are you doing in the west is work holding.
Right.
And then east is
software and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So
Inspection, I think.
Yeah.
yeah, we're looking for a CMM software.
You're not coming by the Haas?
I'm really excited to see that.
I'm not.
I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah.
I want to know who makes it because we figured out or Dustin figured out who makes the saw like within 20 minutes of a picture being dropped.
Right.
And then, but I want to know who makes the CMM. I'm very interested, and like what software they're putting on that, because like the saw is just a JLH, and it like still has JLH on the castings, at least in the show one.
Okay.
Has like the saw guides have JLH, and like if they had a picture of it like up, like the blade guard.
Yeah.
And on the back of the Haas sticker, you could still see the JLH sticker. Like
Okay.
they just
That's
plastered
hilarious.
over.
Yeah.
And JLH is here too. So I'm very curious to like go to Haas and be like, what's this cost? And then go to JLH and be like, what's this cost?
Oh,
It's the
yeah,
exact same
certainly.
saw.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely. I find with any Haas product, if you just take a picture of it and do a reverse Google image search, you can find out pretty quick.
I tried that with the CMM and I could not find it.
Oh,
I spent
really?
I was just bored, and I was like, all right, I'll spend 15 minutes, and went through like Alibaba, like looking at CMMs, and I was like, there's a lot of close stuff, but nothing exactly like it. So
yeah.
Interesting.
it's not, from the specs they released online, it's not the most accurate. Like I think it has 1 micron scales.
Yeah.
So like it can't be more accurate than 1 micron.
Right.
But for a lot of shops, man, that's more than enough, you
Yeah.
know? Like if you're doing plus or minus 10 stuff all day, like that's amazing.
Yeah. You said it great. It's like they're just moving towards the shop in a box.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Compressor, saw, CMM, machine, done. Here you go.
Automation,
Tooling.
like like
all of
literally
it.
like I think within the year you'll see like a $600,000 package that's like the UMC 500 with their little robot pallet loader, the CMM, the saw, and then a bunch of tooling.
Right.
The next step is they're just going to like have a shop already set up and you just buy the keys.
Right,
Yeah.
franchises. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you want a Haas
It's
franchise, like
the Sears house. You know?
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
had a guy,
Machine
like,
shop.
I want that one. They're like, oh yeah, just go like, here are your keys. You're like leasing space from them too.
Right.
yeah. So is there anything you're looking for your shop besides exhibiting here? Is there anything you guys need that you're going to look for, or have you guys looked for?
Customers.
Yeah, customers. Yeah, exactly. I would say like all the little tiny automation booths. There's so many little like sensor brands and stuff that you like, new inventions. My favorite booths are always in the way back of IMTS, like in the dark corner where you're like, what's this guy selling? He doesn't speak very good English, but this is cool.
Right, yeah, like North Hall level 1, and you like go down into the basement, and you're like,
Right.
oh man, this is where the cool stuff is.
All right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so because you guys can integrate more or less any sensor, right? Like, I
Yep.
mean, the UR is pretty open. It just takes any kind of input.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, our RF sensor that transmits the vice signal for open and close to back to the robot is just one of your car key fobs that we took apart and like resoldered.
That's awesome. That is super cool.
It's cool.
So talk to me about the Vice, because last time you were on, you kind of teased it, but then I don't even think you had maybe just had one operating one, but like it was kind of new. So how's been the development? You know, what's been going on with that? What's the specs on it? All that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, last time I was on, we were just about to release our version 1 Robo Wrench, which just magnets to any manual vice. And it was pretty obvious immediately. I think Chris is the first one who said it to me. It was like, dude, you need to make this in a 5-axis. That's too big to put on the side of the self-centering.
I was
like, oh, you're right.
pestering him about it.
Yeah.
And like, we have to make it work on a 5-axis. So like, that will take this to the next level.
Well, that was my first question, I think, to
Yeah.
you when like
Yeah.
him and I were talking about it. And I was like, so when are they making the self-centering version? He was like, it's like, I've been talking to him about it.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So this goes under self-centering device. Right now we've got an HWR on there, and it runs off air. It's a 4-cylinder rotary engine that just is a vice riser, so it's really small. And then you can program it from the robot to open to 1 inch, 4 inches. So it's kind of the heart of our system. The other thing we learned when we released our first version was we thought it was obvious to us that we were like providing this last puzzle piece for people to have true high mix automation. And I don't think anybody was like, oh, cool vice actuator, you know? It's we're like, oh, we have to show them the puzzle completed.
Yeah.
So that's what this is.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, because I know nothing about those vices, but Brad worked at a shop where they had a pneumatic vice on a M200, and like I would have never known what a pain in the ass they are. And then he would come to the shop and be like, I hate this thing. Like, it's a nice vice, Chunk makes a good product, but like every time I change parts, I have to adjust it and adjust the limit switches and adjust it's like, he's like, it's 30, 40 minutes of adjustment to like get my next part going on this machine. He's like, it's so dumb. And then, you come out with your Robo Wrench, and I was like, oh, well, that kind of solves that problem.
And that's a great point, because even though you'd mentioned it, I think
Yeah.
what pushed Troy over the edge to really just like hammer down on the design was he was using a self-centering vice in our other machine. He's just
Yeah.
like, oh, I hate moving these jaws.
Right. And I will like, there's, for the people who are listening to this at the show, before the show, there's one outside of the machine that they can play with. Another like massive thing that it has over a regular self-centering vise is that because it's basically just a wrench, if you lose air, your part is still totally clamped. It's not providing air while it's cutting. As soon as it hits pressure, it's just like if you clamped it manually. So if you lose air completely, or the vise loses air for whatever reason, your part's still held.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
you're not gonna toss it.
Yeah, that would be terrifying.
And then another like sick design feature is they put the 96 millimeter pattern in it on the bottom. So if you already have like a Lang plate or an HWR plate or any 96 millimeter thing, you can just throw the pull studs on it and like slap it on your existing table.
Nice.
So I mean, you still have to like plumb the, like, if you need through table air for it to work, obviously, but like you can like basically pull your plate, get the air lens out from underneath it, put the plate back, and if you don't need it, you can just take it off and do like big parts or little parts or whatever.
How does the vise know where it is?
Good question. So we actually have 5 magnets around the cam of the engine that is just measured with a proximity sensor. So every time it goes past the sensor, it blinks. So first time you like power it on, you just have to zero it. So it just goes all the way closed and then it starts counting.
Oh, cool. Okay. And then is it torque sensing? Like, how does it know it's at 0?
You set the torque specifically on the air pressure.
Okay, cool.
So at 100 PSI, you get 50 foot-pounds of torque, and it's just linear in between.
Sweet.
That would be a cool thing to put like a regulator in there that you control. Like, I don't want to clamp this one as tight.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be cool.
Oh, that'd be neat.
Yeah.
Really cool. You could even have the gauge on that just be foot-pounds then, of like how much clamping power.
This
That way,
thing's doing like 75 newton meters.
Yeah.
It's almost there. Like you saw the hammered ass piece of material that we've been clamping for like days.
Oh, yeah.
As like a fidget toy, basically. It puts the dimples in it. It's not fucking around.
oh, it's stamping. Yeah, it is for sure stamping the material. Awesome. Well, that's really cool. And then how does the vise attach to your riser wrench thing? Like, do you have studs for the 96 millimeter, or is it just bolt on and then indicate in?
We've got studs for the 96 millimeter.
Sweet.
Now they made their own wedge locks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like it goes in the holes, and then you'll see it. If you go over there, you'll see it. But it just bolts and like wedges it down.
Sweet.
It's pretty sick.
And that'll work with any 96, or is it currently for HWR or what?
Yeah, great question. I've tested a whole bunch of them. So obviously there's a lot of vices out there. So I have a hard time saying any, but any major brand we've looked at so far, and it fits that.
Awesome. Well, I think we're close to wrapping up, but what are you guys doing today? I mean, I assume you're at your booth all day, or?
I'll be at my booth all day, but real quick before we wrap up, let's talk about this Toolpath booth. This thing is sweet.
Yeah.
What a great idea to have a little club in the back. This is cool.
Oh, big thanks to everybody at Toolpath, Al and Anthony and Justin and everybody for putting this together. Like, it's super cool. I did not think we would be able to do anything at the show. I just assumed that like you and I would go to my like hotel at night or something. And
I
do
have
a
my
quick wrap-up.
microphone with me. Right. It's like, oh, maybe.
Yeah.
But now here we are, and like the cornhole tournament and the fucking billet longboards that are super dope. And like, it was funny, like they were putting them together, and then we came over. I got a picture I should put, if I haven't posted it, I should post it, of like all the Lom guys being like, oh, you fucking assembled these wrong. And it's like tearing it apart and putting it back together. So it's got drop chucks. And it's like, oh, that's way better.
Well, I saw a video of you riding it.
Yeah.
That was so funny. Like, I think somebody posted and they're like, oh man, I hope that's not one of our employees. And it was like, no, that's lights out. Like,
Yeah.
We all rip dirt bikes and not scared of that longboard.
Right. Yeah. The scooting's been fun. I've never scootered like that around a city.
Yeah.
This is just totally random, but it's like, that's been a blast.
Yeah, shout out to the guy who's taking my Lime scooter every time I park here and try to go back out. Like, leave that shit here so I can get on.
Yeah, we did that in Germany when we were there, like all through Berlin. I think we took the train once, but everything else was on scooters, and it was a blast. Like, it's just such a good way to see a city.
Yeah, the trains here are nice. Like, they get us to where we're going, but they're a little more, like, honestly, I would take the traffic over the crazy people. Like, it's been
a little crazy.
Not to be disparaging, but it's been very screamy at all almost every train station we've been to. You know?
Very streamy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But they do go everywhere. Like
They
it
do
is.
go- yeah.
Like I come from Tucson where there's zero public. I mean, we have buses, but like
Yeah.
there's not like a train or anything.
Which is
so
really fucked up. Consider like it is like it's the most fucked up thing to build like these giant sprawling cities where it's like 1 billion degrees outside and be like, we have no public
yeah,
transportation.
you have to have a car or you died. So have fun.
Yeah. On the point of the train, like Graham's a train over here, and he's like, we got to take the loop, and so we just did the Orange Line loop, and he found some. He's like, I want to go to that restaurant, and we like spent I don't know like an hour. Or
The
something.
next day, I was like, I thought
Yeah.
it was on the north side. I was wrong. It was on the
and
south side of the loop.
I didn't realize how hangry I was until we're like, fucking, this is the wrong rooftop bar. This is the wrong rooftop bar. And I was like, he's like, are we wearing you out? It's like, I'm worn out. I'm
Yeah.
totally not wearing. I'm done.
That's how I was
But
at
then we
dinner
found
last
it,
night.
and it was good.
Like Brad, we got back to our room and Brad was like, you were very quiet tonight. I'm like, we hadn't eaten since like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And then drove all day. And I was like, I was exhausted.
Right.
Was exhausted, like
Yeah.
100%, even after I ate. So yeah, I was glad that, got a nice night of sleep last night. Didn't go out at all. Got back after dinner and like passed out at 10
Yeah.
or something. It's like,
Right.
this is great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is so much fun.
Yeah.
This
Cool
is so
spot.
cool.
I'm stoked. Well, let's wrap up here and we'll be back tomorrow morning. Same time, same place, and
Fuck yeah.
do another little bit. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks, Dylan.
You are listening to Within Tolerance, a podcast for machinists by machinists. I'm your host, Dylan Jackson of Protein Machining, and this is day 2 from IMTS, from the Toolpath podcast booth. What is going on? Who am I joined with today?
Zap Consulting.
Al Whatmough, Toolpath.
Yeah.
The sponsor himself. Let's go.
Thanks for joining us, Al. I appreciate it.
I love that you're calling it a sponsorship, but in transparency, the purpose of the booth is just give back to the industry we love. So
Yeah.
space to use.
It's sweet. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking about it yesterday that, I thought Chris was just going to have to come to my hotel room and we were going to, record into one mic staring across a small table or something.
Yeah.
So this is much appreciated.
Here we are.
Yeah. Well, so Chris, we talked a bunch yesterday. I want to get caught up on what you saw yesterday. But first, Al, first day for new company, all that stuff. How was setup? How was the first day? New jitters, all that stuff. Tell me about it.
So setup, I wasn't here for. 3 of the team has been here since Wednesday, while Zap's been here in the other booths. I showed up Sunday and came to a booth that was ready. So that was good. I wasn't a part of that. It turned out great in terms of the physical presence. But there's there was a worry on my part, would the idea work out? In the sense that if for the people that are here, 3/4 of the booth is just a space for machinists to hang out. It's kind of like throwing a party and hoping people are going to show up. So to see you guys making use of the podcasting space and have people stay well after show hours in the back, kind of was sitting there at like 6:30 after the show had closed. I'm like, oh, the fact that this is behind our wall,
Yes.
the people couldn't kick the customers out because
Uh-huh.
they couldn't find them.
Right.
It's like, that kind of worked out pretty cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. That guy, J-Spec Engineering, was here from South Africa
Yeah.
with his wife. That was rad.
Dude, that guy's a riot.
He's great. Him and his wife are fucking cool.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how, for the booth though, it's amazing how much that stuff just kind of worked out. Like, this booth is a deep U shape, and people would be like, oh no, you need a booth with 3 open sides because you'll get more traffic.
Right.
Right.
But because it's a U shape, well, okay, we'll design the booth in a way that makes use of it, which meant we pushed things forward and had a space in the back. It was just kind of a result of the booth we got. You come and there's a big post right in front of our booth, and you think that makes it a really bad booth.
Yeah.
But the reality is the post is in the middle of the aisle, and it created a choke point.
Right.
And it created a crowd right in front of our booth, and a crowd likes a crowd. So it's
Yeah.
like all these
Yeah.
things that you would have thought were bad actually turned out to be the good parts of
It's
it,
right.
which is
It's
pretty cool.
incredible.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
because you pushed everything to the front, you are close enough to just like literally pull people out of the aisle and say like,
Exactly.
come look at this.
Yeah.
Like usually they'd have to walk into your booth on their own volition, and you're just like, no. Look, there's screens and Datrons, and like we're right here. It's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, and hanging out in the back. I mean, I got my ass handed to me in cornhole, but it was still a lot of fun. So
I didn't even get a chance to play.
Oh, no way. And the popcorn maker can't.
oh man,
She's ripping.
yeah,
That's good.
I cannot believe how good that came out.
yeah.
I was afraid that we were going to get shut down. That there's smoke coming up from it. So you're burning some popcorn.
Yeah.
Like,
That is amazing. So, what about things you didn't expect coming out? I mean, obviously the booth working out better than planned, fantastic. Other things that you might have not even thought of before the show that are coming up?
I mean, you just mentioned the popcorn maker. And this is kind of should have given me a good idea if things were going to work out. I went and visited Jay Pierson 3 weeks ago, and driving home, Jeff Tiedeken called me and said, "Hey, I heard your booth has got like a hangout place. I've always wanted to make a popcorn maker that looks like a Haas." This is like
Yes.
2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago. I'm like, if you make it, sure, we'll use it. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
sounds fun. I'm thinking there's no way he's gonna do it.
Yeah.
2 days later, I see Crystal on Instagram welding the thing up. He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's happening
Oh,
now.
yeah.
I actually have to make space for it in the
Yeah.
booth."
Incredible.
And then I was up visiting Carl, my mentor, last week, and it's still like not even bolted together. And he's like, "Well, we're gonna throw it in the truck and drive to a wedding, and it'll get here finished."
Yeah.
And then he tells me they show up in Denver for the wedding, go to a glass maker to get the glass because he left his shop without the glass in it.
Nice.
Goes to Denver, and the person cutting the glass, her spouse, his or her, I don't know which one it was, but the spouse of the person making the glass worked at an HFO. And he's like
Wow.
losing his mind when he.
That's so
when he
cool.
sees that.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, there's kind of fun, unexpected things where I had a boss at Autodesk that would always kind of get annoyed when I'd say, like, you just want it to happen organically and you have to control it. It's like, no, actually, to make things happen organically, you need to just create a space where things
Right.
can happen organically. And so I suppose I wouldn't say I'm surprised by the creativity of the community, but it's still fun. The popcorn maker was
Yeah.
an example of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very cliche to say, but like you kind of just put out your intention, and like you said, make a space, and usually it comes back to
But
you.
it's scary. Like, we could have ended up with a dud of a $60,000 cornhole tournament.
Right. Oh yeah.
Right,
yeah.
right.
No, it was a ton of fun, and like I met new people. The person I was playing right next to listened to the show, and we were just chatting the whole time, and it was fantastic. It really was. I know going into it, you guys were very excited about that. You're next to your opponent, your enemy, whatever, and you're just
Yeah.
making friends, and it really was like
It's like an intentional way to create organic
Yeah.
conversation.
oh yeah, it was
We
great.
actually had somebody sneak in, or not sneak in, but kind of look around, like, what's going on back here, and they're going to turn around and leave. I'm like, well, what are you looking for? And
Yeah.
it's like, nothing. And dug a little deeper. Well, why did you come to IMTS? We want to do some micro machining. So you need to talk to somebody with a current. Let me
Right.
find you somebody with a current. It's like, you wouldn't be able to do that. I'm like, yeah, there's got to be somebody in the room here. with a current.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, "Hey, come on over." And then 30 minutes later, they're still standing there
Right.
talking about it. And that's what you wanted the space to
It's
be. They might
incredible.
never be a Toolpath customer.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're a current customer.
Right.
It's still fun to just be able to help that happen.
That's awesome. That is really cool.
Sick.
What about you, Chris? How was day one?
Day one was awesome. We were like, we probably have the busiest section of the UR booth right now. I mean, we're the only people cutting in the North Hall, so I mean that gets people going. And the system is very unique. You haven't checked it out yet, but you're coming later.
I hope I get time to feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
pretty sure by Friday or Saturday it'll slow down
But
enough. That I
It's
can-
just like when you tell people you're cutting 25 unique parts from 1.25 inches up to 4.5 inches without any changeover, like their like eyes kind of bug out of their head a little bit, and like bugging out of their head here is kind of like sweet. And there's only like 1 or 2 people that haven't been like super jacked. Like Graham got a bunch of qualified leads yesterday
Awesome.
for that system and for pallet systems and all their other stuff. So it was great. Like,
Yeah.
very busy.
Well, talking to Troy, I didn't realize how big of a part you guys were loading with vacuum cups. Like,
Yeah.
you look at it and it's these, they look like tiny little wimpy 4 vacuum cups, and you're picking up some big chunks.
4 by 2 by 8 inch piece of aluminum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assumed when you had sent me pics that it was the gripper that was going to be grabbing all these and loading them.
And
so
then,
I haven't seen it, and the conversation's going over my head, so it might be going over listener sets. Try and maybe
So,
if you explain it so
I mean,
I understand it, then they'll understand.
right.
The suction cups are maybe
They're like
nickel sized,
Yeah.
and there's 4 of them on the bottom of the gripper, and that's what they are picking up that big 4x2x8 piece of aluminum with.
So 4 nickel-sized suction cups
Yeah.
are enough to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, and repeatably, obviously.
Repeatably. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
No, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and then
I appreciate the
it's
clarification.
it's a really sweet system. Like the first one is really slow because it has to start from closed, but then once it's open, it loads it. Then it has these like little mighty bites kind of thing, like that grab it, pinch it off like 100 thou into the part to take it out, and as soon as it pulls it up, it's pre-opening for the next part to come in. And then, so by the time that the robot goes and grabs the next piece of material and comes back, it's like ready to go. So it's opening and closing the whole time. It is so incredible. Like the gripper taking it out is actually really cool because it's grabbing by like nothing.
Right. Well, nothing grabs hard too, that vise, because
Yeah.
they've got one sitting up on the Haas shelf, and they have a piece in there that people have been stamping, and like it is stamped. Like you could probably stick it on one jaw and have it hang there now.
Yeah, we're getting 75 Newton meters out of that thing at like 100 psi, and we're just like absolutely ripping the whole time. Some of those parts, like some of the Toolpath parts, are like really loud in a good way. It's sick. Yeah. People like, oh, what's this? What's going on? And then you just like hook them. Some people have also like the people over there. Some of them like have nothing to do with machining at all. They're just robot people. So that's like, is it cutting with water?
Right.
No. It's
Yeah.
like really cut. Like it's like you're just explaining the concept of machining. But they talked to like Troy and I ended up talking with like trying to explain how the system works to this like Serbian guy. And he like a lot of people just like taking videos of like the whole thing and like what is going on here. Like I only do stuff like this. So, like, is this a good system? Then you answer questions like, well, how do you guarantee the part is good? It's like, well, we don't.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
It's going to load reliably, but cutting it's on you.
Yeah. I feel like the last year of our conversations, anytime automation has been brought up, it's like, yeah, but the rest of the system too. Like, how do you,
Right,
what kind of tools
right.
do you have a good tool library? Do you have a way to check these parts? Like, we could probably figure out the robot side for you. Like,
Yes.
do you have the way to do the rest of it?
Yeah.
That's like a great segue, actually, because I think that anytime I get asked about automation, we're obviously an automation company. People are always fearful that it's going to take jobs away.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of like how you're going to make sure it's a good part is the exciting thing for me. When you automate things, there's another problem to solve, and now we get to think about how do we make good parts and how do we focus on that. And to me, it's an exciting challenge to be thinking about. It's not like there's a shortage of things to do. Now as machinists and understanding the machining process, there's more of a demand for our unique skill set.
Yeah, you just continue to like level up to the next thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't have to worry about the machine loading parts. Okay, so now I'm gonna focus on my manufacturing system and making sure that like my like templates are good and whatever CAM software you use, and like now I can reliably just get a part out to the machine, and because the robot's loading it, you don't need to worry about cycle time as much like you're more focused on the reliability of the part and making sure it's good. So if it's like a good example is we to control chips, Graham and I worked on a project in Arizona, and to control chips we ended up like doubling the cycle time of a part, and it tripled it like still doubled their throughput because they were able to run all day, all night, no problem. And so like throughput, I mean this has come up a ton on here. It's like a reliable program is much better than a faster program, especially in an automated situation. When somebody's like, how do I make sure the part is good? It's like, don't hammer it. Like, you don't need to go fast because the robot's helping you out.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved on the last episode, you said you tell your customers, okay, we're going to make good parts first and then we'll make fast parts.
Right.
And that's,
right.
I think, something that so many people forget. They just like get, there's this like titanification of machining where it's like, oh, we got to go like 1,000,000 miles an hour and
Right.
rough everything, instantly.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes it doesn't work. It doesn't help.
And you can still hammer reliably. Like, we're fucking ripping over there. And
Right.
it's like, it's cool. But then, like, you finish, like, appropriately. And most of your time, like finishing is finishing. You don't really make up your time on finishing that much unless like you're going crazy slow. But I mean, I'm like segue to the segue would be like, that's kind of like, in terms of like reliable processes with like Toolpath, you guys aren't looking to make good like not fast parts, good parts. That's the goal, is good parts, like good, reliable toolpaths in like a decent amount of time, like to generate them and getting you there. And like, and because it's right now, like generating it in Fusion, if you need to go faster, the user still has the ability to like, well, when it goes live, the user has the ability to like tweak, which is sweet.
Yeah, the point is, a lot of things that are very interesting is how do we do high mix, low volume stuff. It's a different challenge if you're trying to make a very high volume, but the exciting thing now is the ability to make high mix, low volume stuff. Yeah,
and that's like kind of, that's why Lights Out and us and Toolpath are together in that demo, because it is like we're doing 25 unique parts.
Right.
8 of them are Toolpath parts that are very different from each other, and it's sick.
Which to me is super required if we're going to bring manufacturing back.
Absolutely.
We'll be making a lot of the jigs and fixtures and pieces of assembly line. That's just a whole high volume of parts that end up being the tool that creates the end customer part.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Yeah. I wonder how... I should talk to Graham about it, because I wonder if you guys could like hybrid... So Hermla showed off on a Saunders video ages ago on his tour there. Yeah. They had that like machine tied into the ERP that automatically grabbed the right stock for the part. Like I could totally see end to end, like, okay, so you get an order, it gets thrown into Toolpath, gets programmed, it tells the robot what stock to load. You've already got your tools in the machine, and it just starts cutting, like how cool would that be? I mean, it's very like we're very far off from that, but like we're closer than we think.
There's a guy in the UR booth who, I think his company is called Ground Lights.
Yeah.
Avi. Yeah. And his whole thing is like, I'm pretty sure I met him at the last IMTS, and it was like his company was a little bit more nebulous. It was just like AI and automation, full stop.
Right.
Like, that was it. Like there's nothing. Or AI in the machine tool space, whatever. And now it is this like camera. So like it's gonna like flash your table and see if you left a wrench in there, and like be like, hey, there's a wrench inside your machine that shouldn't be there, and you can put it on like the robot, and it's like, oh, that material is not right for this. It's in the wrong station. Move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Move on to the next one. So like it's just like an added layer of safety to the whole situation.
Well, we bugged him a lot, and it's completely variable too. He's like, we had one of these cameras on top of our chip chute, and like it would just tell us when the bin is full.
Yeah.
Because like that's not something you can do by time. You know, it depends on what you're making. Or like he had one that was just looking at a shop floor and was like, hey, you have a coolant spill, you should go clean that up.
Yeah.
But he like showed us on their demo, even turning their blocks, which were square, upwards, it recognized a saw cut edge and was like, that's not how that's supposed to be.
It's a really slick.
That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's interesting to see like how it's progressed. Well, I mean, it wasn't anything really 2 years ago.
Right.
But now like seeing that he like fleshed out the idea and like honed in. Oh shit.
I guess I should wear a cowboy hat in front of a microphone.
No, it's sick.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he showed us they were giving away these little 6mm Allens, and they powder coated them and then lasered them, and he said I ran 100%, all of them automated, and he said 2 of them were misloaded, and the robot caught it, and I was at home doing whatever.
Yeah, he did a really cool. He's got like a UR5 or UR3 in his garage, and he did he just used magnets to load the part. And he just had like screws in different locations, so he'd just like slam it into the screws to like get it into the right orientation, but it never actually was grabbing anything. It was all magnets. Then he would set it down.
It's so exciting to think. We're at the beginning of another 10-year journey in automation with so many fun things to go.
It is really cool. I'm pretty pumped. Like, I mean, we're here now, but it's also like, what's the next IMTS going to be?
Right, 2026 is going to be wild. I think
because like automation was huge last one. It's much bigger. Like cobots everywhere, but not as much on machines at the moment. And I imagine there's going to be cobots all over the fucking place in the North Hall or South Hall.
Yeah. Well, like last time they were everywhere and they were just doing basic stuff. And then I think in the interim, people were like, oh, robots are stupid. We need to give them ways to interact with like the real world.
Right.
And it's been cool to see that realization come out, I think.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So how has been the demos? Are you guys, I think that any software company goes into IMTS with kind of a little bit of dread because internet sucks and computers fail and all that. Have things been going smoothly?
My dread about internet came into IMTS more because we had to pay $12,000 for 10 megabit internet hardline.
Right. Yeah.
That felt like robbery.
Yes. I mean, it is. It doesn't feel like it. It is.
But that's, the demos have been. The team is good. We added to the team a month and a half ago, so Paul had time to come up to speed. But then Angelo, he found out Friday that he was going to be demoing because today our product worked best with Fusion. We don't sell Fusion. DSI's in the booth helping with the Fusion. We showed Angelo the product Friday, and he's demoing as good as anybody on.
That's incredible.
Today, so it's been good. We probably maybe didn't do as good a job as we should scanning badges, but if we made an impression, people will come look at that.
Yeah.
That's
if
you're smart, you don't put your real email on the badge anyway. I don't. Mine auto filters to trash. So if I want to talk to somebody after this, like the ground light guys, Avi, I was like, hey, I actually want to look into your stuff. Can you give me a takeaway or something? He was like, what's your real email? I'll send you an email personally.
Yeah, it's just give me your phone number. I'll text you right now.
Yeah.
I mean, what was super fun is to have a couple guys say, we want you guys to succeed, which is exciting and a bit of pressure to feel like friends in the industry want us to succeed. It's like, okay, well, there's no reason to fail now.
Dylan and I have both said this before. I'll say it again. You're not promising the world, and that is the most one of the most commendable things that you have going on. You have very high ambition, obviously, but you're not we're gonna have automated 5-axis programming next year, which is insane. You're very pragmatic about your roadmap, and I think that will be your key to success. There are people that have been in this space that make very insane promises, and it throws people off. And your whole thing is that you're not trying to replace me or Dylan or anybody. You're just trying to give us a tool to succeed, to be better at what we do and focus on the things that we are good at, which is I don't want to program soft jaws. I don't want to program a bracket. I just want to do the 5-axis cool shit. And that's what you're going for. And it's the message is perfect for what you got going on. So everybody's on board.
Well, you say that. I mean, I sign my emails now, moving at the speed of trust. But our trust is the most important currency we have. And I think the fun irony is the more automated things become, the more the handshake matters. We just had to get a new washing machine at home. And you go into Home Depot and there's 100 options and it's overwhelming, and you can look at reviews and who knows who actually typed it. And at the end of the day, I want my buddy to tell me that one worked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And it's the same here. The more automation there is, the more overwhelming it is, the more relationships matter.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say two things that I told Justin. I don't know if he told you. One, he was, getting worried up to IMTS, and I was like, listen, there have been bigger companies selling way worse technology at IMTS. Your stuff actually works. Because what was it? Makino 2 IMTSs ago had that voice assistant on your machine called Athena.
Yeah.
And I was you could tell it to turn on the spindle or something. It's nobody wants that.
Yeah, who cares?
And they've still brought it to IMTS. That's ridiculous. And then 2, I am a Toolpath customer, and recently I had a part that went through paperless, no red flags, said it was fine. Brad goes to program it, and an entire surface is just slightly 3D and needs to be surfaced. Threw it in Toolpath, and it was hey, this is messed up. You need to check this whole surface out. And I was sweet, all right, this is great.
His worry is valid. We're a VC-backed startup.
Right.
They talk about startups in terms of runway, and when we run over runway, you're done. Talk about startups in terms of burn rate, because we're spending money and not making much yet. The worry is real. But,
but you guys have a campfire that you're throwing money into, not a furnace. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's been really cool to see, I think. What are you guys excited for day 2?
Good question. Probably just, I mean, more yapping, you know, like more people, like there was a lot of people that were traveling yesterday and this morning, you know, so there's like fresher faces and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's going to be pretty sweet. We will have, like, we had one misload yesterday that we took care of and then ran like 30 parts after that, like without issue. So I think today will be the first day that we run it like non-stop, like without any issues at all, and that's going to be pretty sweet. Yeah, it's cool.
Awesome. Al?
Same, more yapping.
Yeah.
I come to these things to talk to people.
Right,
Like
right.
I love it.
It is so much fun. Oh, and I guess the Fraser dinner or whatever is tonight.
Yeah.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah, the Swiss Precision.
Yeah.
That'll be a lot of fun. How do you protect your voice going into this? Because I think Justin said that a few of your guys are already starting to lose their voice after day one, and
housing Vaseline to move the pipes.
right, just like honey
all
and
kinds of
tea.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul and Benjamin have been phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you how I protect their voice. If they're starting a demo, like we've had 4 or 5 customers grouped together to get a demo together, so try
Yeah.
and like
There you go.
have a bunch of conversations
Right,
at once. One of the things I love, actually, like that conversation I told you about the person that needed to meet somebody with Kern. That's the thing I love the most is like, can I just connect a couple people and then get out of the way? So
Yeah.
that's the way I protect my voice. It's like, oh, you need to talk to that
Yeah.
person, then I'll get out of the way. And
Right.
you need
Yeah.
to talk to that person.
You're
I'll
the
get out of the way.
facilitator. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Well-tuned muscle.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've got the Swiss dinner tonight, which will be a lot of fun. Today I'm recording again with Jeff and Crystal and Austin in a little bit.
Hell yeah.
And then I still have stuff to actually look at too. I've got to go look at CMMs
Right.
and tooling and all that stuff. So
Nice.
You gonna bring popcorn into the podcasting booth for that? No?
I wasn't planning on
You
it.
can. It's all good. We got a vacuum. We'll clean it
I
up.
feel like if we
Yeah.
did that, like there would end up being a food fight though with Jeff and
Oh.
everybody.
When
like,
something could be noisier than my cowboy hat hitting the microphone.
Yeah.
So.
and traditionally, people love hearing other people talk on or eat
on
mic.
yeah. Nothing better, right?
Yeah,
Fair enough. Leave
Yeah.
the popcorn out.
just chomping away. Yeah,
Alrighty, guys. Well, let's wrap it there, and thanks so much for joining me.
yeah. hell
Thanks
yeah.
for having me.
You are listening to With Intolerance, a podcast for machinists by machinists. I'm your host, Dylan Jackson of Protein Machining, and this week, or this day, IMTS Day 2, I am joined by...
Austin.
Oh, come on, you gotta tell them your last name.
Roche.
Jeff Tiedeken from Cutting Time.
Yuto Matsuura from Matsuura Machinery.
Awesome. Well, guys, give me the update on how IMTS has been for all of you.
Oh man, it's turning into quite the day. You probably talked the most out of everyone, right? You've been in the booth all day.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. So this is day 2. It's definitely busier than yesterday. Actually, this is the 3rd time for me to attend IMTS. I think this is the best I've ever attended.
Really?
I think so.
How
Or
many
just
have
I
you-
lost memory.
How many have you been to?
3 times.
Okay.
So this is the 3rd time.
Okay, awesome.
Well, we missed with COVID. We missed
Yeah.
one. So
Right.
It's 8 years, right? About
Oh, yeah.
8 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then what about you, Austin?
This is my first time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
And how's it been?
Pretty cool, yeah. A lot of fancy stuff.
A lot of fancy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what did you come to the show looking for?
I think we're going to get a Zoller pre-tool setter this year.
Sweet.
Just for more accurately measuring tools and stuff. And I was also looking at it, and we were thinking of using it to maybe measure parts as well.
Oh, cool.
Because, like, little screw machine parts and stuff.
Right.
He says he has a bunch of customers that do that, so,
Makes sense.
yeah.
So, Yuto, I'd be remiss to ask, how is it to be one of the family, one of the namesakes at an IMTS?
Well, so I am the 4th generation, and next year we are going to celebrate the 90th year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
So our family business is really, really long.
Mhm.
Well, my father always say, I never did force you to join the family business, but I always felt I felt pressure.
Right.
Or, my grandfather, he seems really, want me to join. Well, of course, when I joined, it was 6 years ago, I felt, sometimes weird, awkward, because everyone treated me like a prince, But now, okay, I enjoy that. Yeah, now I'm motivated and I'm really, into this business.
That's great.
It's super cool too to see like as the company develops too, like with you being around it, it allows for like younger crew like a lot of us to kind of have someone to kind of connect to more because when you have someone that's been running the company for 20 years, they're a lot older than us. So it's super cool to see someone younger to have a face that we can kind of relate to with our kind of style and culture, I guess. Like it's a little bit easier to talk to than, someone that's been around for a long time.
Yeah, totally. Well, and I think that you guys are one of the only companies like that where you have the original family still. There's a lot of companies that are still owned by their families, but not as involved. It's very rare to see any of these other big name families at shows, for example, whereas we can always count on a Matsuura at a IMTS, so.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we never miss, attending IMTS. And also, my grandfather, the second generation, also, loves to communicating with the customers. And I got privileged to, visit the West Coast and Bay Area. And I went to Austin's shop. And also, Jeff took me around. And, being a fourth generation, one of the best things I've ever experienced is that I was able to see the old machine still running. Of course, it has built a reputation. Austin's got, how old is that machine, the horizontal?
Yeah, 20 years old.
20 years old machine.
And it still cuts like within tenths.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to think this 20-year-old machine is making LiDAR components for self-driving cars. Like 20 years ago, you would have never thought a car would drive by itself.
Right,
And
yeah.
so now it's funny to see this old horizontal cutting those parts.
Yeah, and it just cuts them perfect. It cuts them as well as a brand new one that we have for years. Yeah.
And sometimes, your grandfather sold this. This could happen. So that's why, we love to, show our faces in IMTS or any places and, love talking with you guys. Yeah.
We went on a tour around San Francisco, and I think it was kind of a trip too. We went to Austin's shop. We went to a few shops that I manage and work at, and then it was pretty wild. We went to a place called Micro Precision that makes semiconductor, and it was such a trip to get to see the whole spread of the Bay Area's kind of ingenuity and technology. And it was also kind of a trip because 50% of the machines were sitting idle, and it was no, it's not a production environment. This is the think tank. This is where a lot of ideas are created. Sometimes leaving the machine sit until the idea is perfect is the key ingredient.
Right. Yeah. A lot of those shops, you want that capacity. An idle spindle is a good spindle to have.
And when you were gonna make a part, you need it to be the right part, so it's key to have a right machine for the job. So
my last job before my shop, we had a bunch of older Matsuuras.
Really?
I think VG 800 2s.
the red ones.
No, they were green, but they had Yasnat controls, and we just kept fixing them because we didn't want to replace them because they just worked so well, and they were so rigid compared to other stuff we had.
I ran the old red ones, and that was we had two of them, and those things just cut all day. We used them for cutting plexiglass. It was great machines for cutting stuff like that.
That's great. So what are you guys looking forward to on day 2?
There's all kinds of wild projects and things to see. It's kind of overwhelming sometimes to just walk around. Sometimes you'll get stuck just in one area, and then you look at your clock and it's 3 o'clock, and so it gets stressful. But yeah, I came here with the intention of buying a machine, but I was asking this guy for a discount. I'm looking at one of the LX 160s. It's pretty much one of the most badass machines at the show. They're making these crazy little knee, right? It's a knee part. It's a
knee surgery.
Yeah, it's a cobalt chrome part.
Sure.
So they're 3D printing it on the Lumex Matsuura machine, and then machining it on the little LX 160, and it's a linear machine. That thing's just so fast, and it's so much fun to watch. And I like, oh man, someday. I'm
Jeff told me that you were hoping that you just give it to him.
Hey, you weren't supposed to tell him that.
He kept sending the message, and he said, is there any machine which is afford to like an artist? But sometimes artists is rich. They're rich guys.
I said starving artist needs a linear motion machine.
That is amazing. Well, you could just be the second showroom, right?
Yeah,
People can come by all the time and see it. Yeah. Oh, man. What about you, Austin? Second day?
Second day, kind of saw everything I wanted to see, just socializing now, and yep,
Awesome.
maybe
And then-
gonna go see Chicago a little bit.
Oh,
tonight.
cool.
Yeah.
That's great. And then, Yuto, what do you guys look forward to as a vendor? Like what makes you excited day to day?
Of course, sales.
Making money.
Yeah.
Well, and it's very, we, of course, I have a privilege to visit, so take a trip. But this is a kind of very important opportunity for us to see many customers, many Matsuura users, and of course share information, share feedbacks. So that's what I will want.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
And of course sales. Yeah.
Yeah, go to the Matsuura booth, buy a machine.
It's
Come
got
on.
Matsuura
Yeah,
by
there's
machine.
already a bunch of sold signs on some of the machines. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, even before the show started.
Yeah.
There is a soul sticker on the one of the machines. Yeah.
Yeah, the one up front. The
There you
other
go.
cool thing was they 3D printed like this dragon. It's a dragon, right?
It's Dragon. Yeah.
And it's all 3D printed as one piece, and then you go scan your thing, and then you can get in the registration to win it.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's super cool. It's like stainless steel too. It's a big dragon.
It's big Dragon.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is the design. So it has like a chain-ish structure. Usually you build a one part each, then
Yeah.
you assemble it. But because it is a bit of a 3D printer, so it has a little space between each part. So you just cut it off from the base plate. Then you have this, what can I say, flexible,
Yeah.
movable structure.
Super cool.
Yeah.
So definitely that was I think I put my name in the hat 5-6 times. I want that dragon.
Yeah, it can be your boy's toy.
Yeah, there you go. Nothing like a stainless steel dragon
Yeah.
for a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's amazing. So what kind of prep do you do for a show? Because, you've got all these people loading machines and preparing. I want to know, as an exhibitor, how do you get ready for a show like this?
Okay, so obviously I believe we've been preparing for this show like for months, but bringing a machines and set it up, it was so all done in such a short time period. Everyone worked their ass off, and the booth was so, I would say, I think personally it looks great, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what else?
What?
Yeah.
And, well, you also have the show in Germany
Yeah.
and the show in Japan coming up. So you actually are getting ready for like 3 IMTSs at
Oh,
the same
jeez.
time.
Yeah,
There's a
that's
lot
so
of
true.
money.
Right,
going
because
on.
AMB starts, Monday or something?
Yeah, so,
It's already started this week.
Oh, wow.
Well,
that's
of course,
crazy they overlap them.
Yeah.
there's no customer who would like to attend both.
Yeah.
But as an exhibitor, manufacturer, we need to show faces. I'm not going to AMB, but
Yep.
Our current president, he's going to attend the AMB later.
It's so wild because then you got to build machines access to go on all these shows, and just logistically keeping them all together just seems like an absolute nightmare.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine one, let alone 3. I mean, I was here Sunday before the
Okay.
everything opened, and just seeing even in 12 hours, the carpets were not down, and there was boxes of trash everywhere, and forklifts and everything, going around. It was a magic trick. Like, I did not think that everybody was going to get ready in time.
The real question is how many machines have already gotten tipped over or wrecked. I've seen one machine that got wrecked. I won't say a name, but I seen him doing a spindle replacement early this morning, and it was pretty wild to get to watch.
Yeah. So, Jeff, I would be just so wrong for my audience if I did not ask you the story of the popcorn machine, too, while I have you here.
Yeah, the popcorn machine. So it was kind of a last minute thing. Al reached out, said we got the Toolpath booth going. It was a last minute. It's pretty wild that you guys get to do the podcast here as well as like all the games and stuff. But we're in the actual like tool machine hall, which is kind of weird for a software company to be able to be here. Some strings were pulled and it made it happen, and it was a last minute booth. And then the cool part about it was like it was a 50-50 flip of the coin. Like, are people going to show up and hang out here, and is it going to be cool, or is it going to be a total flop? And so, like, you know, guys like you doing the podcasts and stuff, but I was talking to Al, and we just needed something cool. Like, we needed something to like keep everyone here excited. So we decided to build popcorn machine. Well, that was like a week ago.
Right.
It was like a last minute thing. So I just opened up Autodesk Fusion and just started clicking away and sent out a bunch of stuff to the laser cutters and had no idea if this thing was actually going to bolt together. And literally Friday night, we bolted it all together and we drove, like, got to the show. And well, the worst part about it is we put it together backwards. So we didn't put the windows in it. And it's a miniature VF2 Haas popcorn maker. And we didn't test it before we got here. And of course, it get here and the popcorn thing doesn't dump out, and like, because we hadn't put the windows in. But yeah, it was quite the journey. Like, so we drove out here, which was kind of funny too. Like, as we were driving along, we're like, we have to get the glass made because we didn't do that planning. And
Right.
we drove and we actually stopped at a little glass shop in the middle of nowhere in Colorado. And it just so happens that the guy that works there, his wife is one of the main salespeople at Productivity. So
Really?
she knew like everything about it was like pretty amazing that you'd find the one glass shop in the middle of nowhere that just so happens to have like a salesperson like for Productivity. And so it made it extra special for them to help get the popcorn maker ready, and it's working. It's been good. The cornhole's been good. The podcast, we had a whole booth full of people last night.
Yeah.
Super cool to see everything happening and working for everyone.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I got my ass handed to me in cornhole. So, I you know, it was still fun, but man, I did not do as well as I'd hoped.
Jeff was so busy building the popcorn machine, we had to finish up all his parts at my shop. Ship them out.
No comment.
Yeah, and you weren't already busy, right?
Yeah.
So
He was like, can you laser this stuff and do all this?
I need you to ship these too.
Yeah,
and also
drill a hole in this
put
plate
the
because
packing slip in there. And
we've cut it out of the wrong model. And
don't forget the purchase order. And
Right. So, Austin, that actually brings up a good point. Talk to us about how you mentally justified coming here, because I know we've talked and you're like kind of stressed about being here. What about being here makes it worth the stress and shutting down for a little bit?
it's not. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay, thanks. So don't come to IMTS, everyone.
No, it's super cool. I'm glad I came out. It's like a good break from just like the day-to-day whatnot. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have to justify it.
Yeah.
It was just, I've always wanted to come, and the past like 2 years, I just,
well, I come
Did it.
home and I'm like, we partied, we went on a boat cruise,
Yeah.
we went bowling, that's pretty hard to not want to go.
For sure. Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's totally worth it. I mean, just learning about tooling and stuff,
Right.
you know, nerding out on stuff and meeting everyone that I always see on Instagram and whatnot. So
Yeah, I always find that like I come home so reinvigorated. Like I was getting pretty burnt out last week, like preparing, and then being around a bunch of like-minded people for almost a week straight, all loving machining and stuff. You get home, you're like, man, I want to make chips. Like I want to start this again, and yeah, it's awesome.
yeah, and I got like customers like, where are the parts? Where are the parts? And I'm like, I'm at a trade show. Sorry, like at some point you just can't. You can only do so much. And then I have like right before we started the podcast, they're like, so like some rework parts are like on the way over to your shop right now. I'm like, no one's there.
Oh boy.
It's always stressful to leave, but it's kind of wild. Sometimes you leave and then you come back and not much has changed, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's good to remind yourself that like you can get away for a few days and it'll be okay.
All the customers are always like, we need it tomorrow. And then it sits on their bench for like a month.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I think we all have had that where you rush, you work till 2 a.m., you drop it off there, and then you
Yeah.
go in like the next week to drop off parts, and they're still sitting exactly where you
You're
dropped them.
Seriously, dude?
Yeah.
Like, really? Like, cool.
Yeah, definitely. How about you? How do you feel usually at the end of a week? Is it pretty exhausting?
Well, you,
Oh.
you have karaoke this week.
Oh, I don't want to say it out loud. Well,
Are you a good singer?
no, that's why I don't want to say it out loud. So I don't know, but we have a tradition, kind of tradition. My father, our big boss, has started. So actually, this week on Wednesday, we have invited our leaders and the users. I think you two come.
Yep.
Yeah. So for boat crews, and I don't know. We have to sing.
Yeah, the pressure's on
karaoke.
the dealers and the customers want to see the performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This tradition has started, like, I don't know, I think 10 years ago or 12 years ago, the IMTS, one of the customers said, hey, you are Japanese, so you know karaoke, you know how to do karaoke. And there is no karaoke machine on the boat, but my father did it. He's such an entertainer. He doesn't care. He doesn't feel embarrassed.
Yep.
I'm not.
I think it was about 8 years ago I told him that I have all of his records, and then that confused him.
But the problem is he has never said, oh, you have to do that. Or
Yeah.
I'm going to sing, and you will.
Right.
But he just, give me a heads up right before he started karaoke. And I was, okay, I will do
Here's
anything.
what we're gonna sing. You got 3 minutes to learn the song.
Yeah, exactly.
But he always picks the same song, so that's kind of part of it.
It's Aerosmith.
Aerosmith, yeah, I don't want to miss a thing. So if you want to hear I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Katsu Matsuura and myself, by Matsuura, then join next time.
Yep, exactly. Next year, next IMTS, you can come out on the boat cruise.
Yeah, Jeff, you've always been like, you got to get on the boat cruise because you got to see the karaoke.
Hey, man, we're big fans.
That's the highlight. That's the highlight for him. So
Don't do promotion.
Yeah,
I want to stop this tradition.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, whatever I can do to make you guys
Oh,
happy.
it's the boat cruise is always super cool too. You go you leave the Navy Pier, you go out, cruise around, good food, good people. It's out, you're trapped on a boat, and
Right.
you're just cruising out there. It's super cool to see the city at night. It's a pretty special boat cruise, so it's lots of fun.
that's
Reminds
it.
me of the Office episode.
Which one?
The boat.
The boat cruise episode.
I'll be the captain here.
So
Yeah.
coming back to the question, that's why I always get tired at the end of a show.
Jeff's gonna get handcuffed to the fake steering wheel.
Yeah, well, I know my business partner and I are like, every time we come, we look at all of the exhibitors and we're just like, man, I kind of feel bad for you because you're on your feet all day and then taking out customers at night till who knows what time and then back bright early. I get to sleep in at least, and I'm tired. I can only imagine you guys are pretty tired by the end of the week.
Yeah, we went out last night, and it was funny because Andrew Selway has been trying to work this deal with a customer on a MAM 72. And so we were supposed to be eating pizza, but we're watching him out in front of the pizza place,
Pacing back and
on his
forth.
phone, trying to sell a MAM. It was like, come on, dude! And then we were trying to call him in. We were trying to bang on the window to tell him to bring his credit card in.
And then, and then meanwhile, me and Jeff are doing the negotiation with another salesman. We were pressuring him into getting a MAM for $300K.
But yeah, he didn't have enough beers yet.
Yeah, he didn't have enough beers to agree to the deal.
That is amazing.
We're always trying to get a good deal.
I can guarantee, I know that of you. Every time I see you at IMTS, I'm like, all right, what deal is Jeff slinging this time? He's finding something.
He has about a 0% success rate.
But you know what? I'm trying, so
Yep.
there's gonna be a day.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Did Matsuura bring anything new to the show?
Well, so the machine we want to showcase this time is a MAM 7242B and also MX330. And what is new about the machine? So it comes with a new operating system. I think we did a world premiere in last GymTuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 2 years ago, but I think it is the first time for us to showcase this operating system in the United States or differently in IMTS.
Okay. What's different about it?
Well, so it's the first operating system in the last 10 years, and
we basically develop all the function to support your lights at operation, because our flagship model MUM 72 means running unattended for 72 consecutive hours, so it's called automation. And for example, you just schedule all the programs and you press the start button. You don't want to scrap all the parts, So does this new operating system scan your programs and tell you what you need to do beforehand to run all the projects without any problems. So, for example, if one of projects has an issue with the tool, the system tells you need to replace it with a new one. Otherwise, you will miss it. Or just if you miss it, you press the button. It doesn't make a mess because the system knows which program has an issue, so it automatically push back the program to the end so that the machine can run as many hours as possible, like that. Sorry, it's just I'm from Matsuura, so I talk about
No. That's why I asked. Yeah, I want to give you a chance.
like that.
There's also some new stuff coming out, but I don't know. I think it's getting unveiled for a minute.
You want me to say it? Oh, okay.
Hey,
All
you're the
right,
boss.
Okay, so 2 months from now, we will have a Toolpath. This is one of the biggest shows, global shows, machine tool show, like IMTS.
Are you supposed to say it yet?
I can say it.
Hesitant.
You don't have to. It's okay.
How many listeners now?
Enough.
4.6 million.
Yeah, all of the machining world right now is listening.
Anyway, so in Toolpath, we will exhibit our latest model. So MX520T. The T means turning. So we have one model of that. The platform is MUM 7235B, but it has different C-axis. So it has turning capability. So block the spindle, then turn the C-axis like with a high speed.
Mm-hmm.
So
with
it's the same
with
concept.
the pallet pool, so it's gonna be awesome because it's the machine we're looking at for doing a bunch of the turbine parts, and it's super cool because then you get the turning and you still get the pallet pool and you get everything, but you don't have the price point of like the Cublex machine, which is like it's like almost double the price of that machine, right? So it's gonna be a pretty special one. So
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing. That's really exciting.
Yeah, I hope no Matsuura guys hear this. Let's keep it between ourselves, okay?
Okay.
This is podcast.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, any words before we wrap up, guys?
I don't know. I mean, have you got to go
Jeff
around?
could talk for anher 6 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I know.
We
We've been
were gonna-
promising the 6-hour
we had
episode.
Yeah, we talked about doing a 6-hour episode where I just talk straight for 6 hours, and he just lobs me easy questions.
Yeah.
What
And-
about
and
you? Have you went around the
Twinkies.
show yet? You got to see some cool stuff?
Not yet. I really haven't. Like, I've got specific things I need to look at. I want to look at Cam's stuff, and I want to look at saws, and I looked at the Haas saw at least.
Yeah.
Haven't made it to the North Wing to look at the rest of them. Parts cleaning I need to look at as well, but like we just bought another machine last week, so I'm not really looking for another one.
You're
What
out of
camera
money.
are you looking at?
NX and Hypermill. Probably more NX than Hypermill. I don't really want a non-integrated CAD cam, so but I want to know what's out there, really.
Yeah. We run a spree.
Right. Right.
And we just started NX.
No, really.
Yeah, just like a week ago, so I don't know anything about it.
I imagine it integrates pretty well with a lot of the
Yeah, so the
jet
idea was,
stuff?
to be able to design and build the whole jet engine and do the CFD and analysis and then just go right into the cam stuff. And then there's actually a really nice plug-in for Camplete to the Matsuura from NX. So it's actually nice to see it. It's been thought out on the process and workflow.
And
so
NX does integrated sim too.
they do
right?
as well,
Yes.
yeah. But like the Camplete is nice because it's just like we were
It's
already
so perfect.
and I've been dealing with it for so long. It just kind of it just works.
Right.
So
Yeah, we're looking at it because it is so integrated, and I like, from talking to users, it seems like so much of it is database driven, that like creating templates that are easy to modify all of them at the same time just by changing one model, or like having an actual database driven tool library that, organizes itself pretty well. This stuff sounds nice, for sure. So that's what I'm looking
and
at.
cheap.
No, it's not. That's the. If it was cheap, I would.
Yeah.
I'd have a license and I'd just make my way through it and then
They have
dump it.
great deals for startup companies, and then it's actually like Fusion cheap. But then once you get over a certain threshold of money,
Right.
which for startups they have way more money, but they're on the decline of money, right? Whereas like you're trying to get more money,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, I've heard there's like discounts for doing defense work too and stuff like that. But we'll just have to see.
What shortfalls does your current cam have?
So we use Fusion, and I just think it's like we've been waiting for ITAR compliance for a long time.
Sure, yeah.
Still not here.
Yeah.
There's been some changes recently that were pushed that I'm not super stoked with, and I think it's just dumb to run a business and not like at least have a backup plan running at all times for all mission critical stuff.
Yeah, and also, not being able to save local for the ITAR and all this stuff.
Like I love the cloud aspect because I can go home and just pull up
Yeah.
what I was working on at work
Sure.
and program for another couple hours and then go to bed. But I just need to have a backup plan. Really,
Yeah,
like
sure.
it's been too long that I haven't had a backup plan and knowing where I'm going if stuff hits the fan. So
Sure.
yeah, awesome. Well, thank you all for joining me. Been a ton of fun, and we'll hang out more. You are listening to Within Tolerance, a podcast for machinists by machinists. I'm your host, Dylan Jackson of Protein Machining. This is day 3 of IMTS, and I am joined by
Andrew Henry from Henry Holsters.
Zap Consulting.
And Jay Pierson with Pierson Work Holding.
Awesome. Well, I think the listeners have probably heard Zappettini talk a fair bit this week. So why don't we start with you guys? How has IMTS been?
That's right, Andrew. You just got here yesterday, so I'm 2.1 days into it. I forgot how big it is because I walked on Monday. I walked this hall, like the South Hall, and I thought, oh yeah, there's like more halls, and I started walking there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. So I'm doing it in 2.5 days. You really need like minimum 4 if you want to do it right. So. It's been great. I'm kind of talked out. Everywhere I go, I'm like talking. My feet are dying. I'm on like this trade show high, walking around. I didn't eat lunch. On Monday, I didn't go to the bathroom until 8 p.m. It was insane. So, yeah, it's trade show energy for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm on my second day here, and I spent most of yesterday in this main machine tool hall. I'm a little talked out too. I actually had a couple conversations in relatively loud areas and didn't realize how loud I was talking until the conversation ended. I feel like I've been shouting. Oh, that's right. I was shouting.
Yeah.
Totally.
But it's been really fun. This is my first IMTS bringing any employees with me. So 4 of my guys are here with me, and that allows us to divide and conquer because there are things we wanted to look at as a shop that I don't need to look at personally and say, hey, go check this out. Go look at this. We were thinking about these 3 things. Go take a look at them, and then let me know which one you think I need to see, and then we'll make time tomorrow to go look at it again together. And that's been amazing. The biggest thing is having multiple people here. Like this morning, I needed to be here. I got dropped off. I didn't have to go fight parking and park somewhere and then run. It was amazing to be able to carpool and get dropped off. Highly recommend.
Speaking of which, I know you're a Lang user. Head over to Lang in the automation wing, and they'll give you a 10% off coupon, which they never do.
Awesome. I will do that this morning first thing.
He's like, I gotta go right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, guys. I'm out.
Yeah. Well, that's great. What are you guys looking for?
I was here just for to support Toolpath.com. We're doing the cornhole tournament. We're giving away a PPS, which is a big deal. Just making connections. I skipped the 22. We all skipped to 2020. So I haven't been here since 2018. So to come and connect with people, that's been the fun part. I was looking for a CNC grinder at 2018, didn't buy one, so here I am in 2024, still looking for a CNC grinder. So
They still have them. They're still here.
Yeah.
So we're a Haas and Doosan shop, kind of. No brand loyalty, but just brand continuation. And so looking at like the Doosans, they got impressive stuff. It's funny because they rebranded one of the Doosans and it looks like a Herco now.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that because everyone else will start to say it too. It's pretty crazy. Like, I want people to be progressive, but like, that's like, oh, you just stepped into someone else's lane. Okay. I don't know why you did that, but that's what you're doing.
Are you talking about their mill turn?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the machine below my MX 2100
Yeah.
ST. So it's a good machine. I'm asking for a quote on it. So
Oh, cool.
that's the way to go.
Sick.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What about you?
We're looking at our entry into small 5-axis. So we're looking at a range of machines and just trying to get a feel for which ones can be palletized or automated in loading and what those systems look like, what the interfaces look like. My main goal was to come to the show with a list of 5 or 6 machines I was considering and eliminate at least half of them by either finding some things I didn't like, showing them to my operators who are going to be running them, and them saying, I don't want to work on this machine for these reasons, and just narrow the list down. We're not looking to purchase a machine this week. We are getting a couple of quotes, but there is no substitute for standing in front of the machine and understanding the layout and the lighting and the ergonomics and what's it going to actually be like to work at this machine.
Oh, yeah.
So we're narrowing the field.
Awesome. And how's that going?
It's gotten a little narrower. I've ruled out one machine we were considering, but we're still looking at a lot of the automation things. I'm seeing a lot more this year of robot-loaded pallet systems, like the in-between. I remember seeing at IMTS, the first IMTS, I was seeing robots, but it was always a robot mounted to the floor right in front of a VMC,
right,
picking pieces of stock off a cart with grippers for that exact size and loading them in some kind of hydraulic pneumatic vise. And then there were obviously pallet pools. Matsuura and MAMs have been around for a long time, and there wasn't a lot in between that would allow you to change setups or swap individual mid-sized work pieces. And so we're seeing a lot more of that, and that's interesting, trying to figure out what size is appropriate for us. And so a solution that's scalable where we can get an enclosure, get a robot, and have it be able to take up to 60 or 80 pallets, but not have to stock that thing with 80 pallets at the very beginning. That's interesting to me.
Yep.
How was it seeing your RPS in person on a machine? Because you saw it at the Haas thing, right?
Haas kind of open house at the factory. What is it called? It's a RPL, robotic pallet loader. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'd seen it at the Haas factory. It was great and everything, but that was back in July. And so for me to see it now, hooked up to a machine, running continuously, and kind of talking to the engineers, like the 2 lead engineers on it, that was really valuable. The funny thing is, mine is due to be delivered next week. And talking to these guys, I'm like, how's it going? You feel the software is up to date? You feel good about it? They're like, yeah, we're still doing some testing. And I'm like, hold up. Wait a minute. What are you talking about? Well, yeah. Oh, wait. It works on the UMCs. We put it on a VF4. We haven't put it on a VF2. That's next. And mine's going on a VF2 that we were going to sell.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, no, we'll delay it. You get it hooked up right. Can I give you a serial number so you can confirm it'll work on day one? So that was the big thing. It's loading pallets. I would say the hard automation, the difficult automation is when you have an end effector interacting with a raw piece of material or even a finished piece of material, because robots they're not tactile, they're blind most of the time.
Right.
And so if you can interact, I've said this before, if you can interact with the known origin, location, and interface, that's the way to go. So that's what sold me on the RPL.
Right.
So
I'm glad you didn't mill that laptop in your VF2 though.
Oh man.
Would have been cool.
Yeah,
Don't get me
that
wrong. I want to
would've
see it.
I
but,
know, trust me.
Now that you're going to use it for something, it's probably best you didn't.
For sure. Yeah. So
all right,
really
Chris. We've heard from them. How was day 2? How you feeling?
Fried. So fried. I'm right there with him. Like, my feet are fucking toast, dude. It's been like the yapping has been like pretty serious. Like kind of like nonstop talking. There's more people. Like, we're the only people. I said this yesterday. I meant to go back and listen to see what I said because I can't remember anything from yesterday. But we have like the busiest section of the UR booth. Andrew stopped by yesterday and kind of saw it running.
That corner of the UR booth was hopping.
It was hopping. It was intense because I mean we're the only people in that hall cutting.
Yeah.
So and you can like hear it from the bathroom, and we're right in front of the bathroom, which is sick. But there was like more people than we could like talk to, you know. And so it's just a lot of like trying to get like the right because I'm not a robot guy, and the system is the display. So I talked to him about a little bit, and then as soon as it starts to get a little more technical, it's like Troy, Graham. And then kind of an interesting thing, and you've probably experienced this before, where people are coming up and talking to you to talk to you, not necessarily about the system, and it's kind of like a difficult balance between like
I'm working here.
Right? Yeah, it's like I don't not want to talk to you, but it's like I got to work the booth and like talk to this guy who's very like clearly interested. And then beyond that is like, when do you stop having the conversation with somebody who is interested? Like, I've given them the information that they need, but they're still chatting, but there's somebody new now.
Right.
And now I have to talk to them, and it's just kind of person to person to person. There was a pretty cool moment of probably one of the cooler moments was this woman was talking to like her 2 team members about CNC machines. She's like, I need to know what this is. And it's like, what do you do? And it's like, oh, I'm the main purchaser for McMaster-Car. Oh,
Wow.
yeah. It's like, oh yeah, you probably do. She's like, what would you like to see in McMaster? It's like their vice actuator.
Yeah.
Then I hooked her up with Graham, and it's like, and they were chatting and exchanging information. So that's like, that'd be pretty fucking cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
No, I felt terrible, speaking of people coming up just to talk. Like, I was in the middle of a conversation with somebody I had to talk to, and I just see somebody like appear out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, I can't leave this conversation. I can't say anything right now. And I just see them like walk away after a minute. I'm like, I'm sure I'll catch them up at the Instant Machinist meetup. But I feel terrible about it. I want to give everybody my time, but like, this was a very important to my business meeting. So.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
But
I really enjoyed actually watching the demo over Lights Out, and it's a really cool place to be right at the outside corner. It's the advantage of having people be able to stand directly in front of the machine and also look in the side window and also look at the load tray.
Yeah.
It's a great spot.
Sick.
But
Glad you say that.
You want to get right up on top of it to see what's actually happening. So while I was there was this sort of constant churn of people would move to the front, and like, if you have your face right up to the window, you realize you're blocking the view of everybody down in front. And you only want to stay there for a few seconds to watch what's happening, and then you need to move out of the way so somebody else can get up front a little bit. It's a really cool demo, and that vice actuator was fascinating.
The vice actuator is really cool. If you can break away, you should come check it out. Because like, these guys, Lights Out, I mean, I'm part of it, but I wouldn't be a part of it if I didn't feel this way. They are like the best machine tool integrators that I've ever worked with. They are also the #1 machine tool integrator for UR in at least the United States, possibly the world. Like, they do it better than, I think that's all they do, and they're really good at it.
Yeah.
They're the top guys.
Who was the guy that was here at the cornhole tournament?
That was Graham.
He's
the
Graham.
VP of sales.
Okay, that's right.
He's incredible. He's got the sickest mustache.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. On point.
But yeah, like the vice actuator, if you're not familiar, I mean, I'll give you the pitch.
Sure.
So they developed this vice actuator that's gone just like a 125 to 205 self-centering vice, and it acts as a riser. So it's like it's about 100 millimeters, and it'll actuate it through the entire range. So we're going from 1.25 inches to 4.5 inches without any changeover whatsoever, using vacuum to pick it up. And it's got a 2-stage vacuum. 2 cups pick up the small one, 4 cups pick up the big one, and it's crazy reliable.
Wow.
And then, like, talking about picking from a known position, they use the top hat to pull it out. So it has a gripper that looks like this, and so it comes in and smashes the top hat, so it always grips with the same amount every single time. Because one of the advantages of the cobots is you can use it like a probe. So they smash it, find it, come in, grab it. We had the day one, Monday, we had 1 misload from an error in what we said the pallet or the size of the part was, and yesterday we had no errors at all. Just ran smooth the whole day.
Graham said the only error you had was because you have 2 auto doors. He's like, this would never be how it is in real life. You wouldn't open the front door and the side door at the same time.
And we have been asked. Yeah, we have 2 auto doors on it. So for the exact reason, like when it goes to load and unload, it opens both, so you can get right inside of it. And it's funny, like, there was one of the last things we were doing at setup was like, oh, we need to make the robot go faster. And I was like, it doesn't fucking matter, because there's going to be people inside of the light curtain the whole time. And there's been people inside of the light curtain the whole time. Like,
I definitely put my head inside the light curtain the instant the front door auto opened.
Yeah.
Well, it's slick. They integrated it under that shelf. Yep. So there's actually a light curtain underneath that shelf doing the full corner of that booth.
Yeah.
So if you watch the ring on the robot, if it's flashing green, somebody's in the light curtain. Yeah. And it's never solid green.
That's a new feature, by the way. They added that, I think, for the UR30, is like between the pedestal and like and joint 1 is their status light. So it's got a ring all the way around it that tells you like if it's in like a warning, or somebody's in the zone, or if it's running good. And it's just very obvious. You don't have to like add another light. It's cool. And one of the things they're gonna do is sexify the thing, because like people like the sheet metal. It doesn't need it. There's no practical like reason to put sheet metal around it, but just, I mean, you look at the Trinity. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the Trinity stuff yet. One of the things that people say right away is they're fucking sexy, because it's just full of sheet metal. It's really gorgeous. I mean, the one that they put on the Kitamura looks, it's OEM.
Right.
You know? It's like, it looks part of the machine.
Yeah, had Tim not posted about it, I wouldn't have known it was Trinity.
They did a really there's like a little thing like by Trinity like at the top underneath the name. And so like they're gonna put sheet metal around it and like kind of like have like a little spot to like beam the laser out of, so it's like still like super sexy.
Yeah.
He look at
Awesome.
like, yeah.
Okay, you had me at laser.
It does need to look cool, and the expectation, like what goes on behind these walls, is so fast, so awesome.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. We can't like you can't.
Yeah.
But there is something about it that like you can be all up in front of the cell and like it's just like, oh, I'm still going.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
It's neat.
Like that's pretty sweet too.
Yeah.
So what are you two looking forward to today?
I'm checking out additive today, so looking at like the Prusa HT90.
Interesting.
And just seeing what else is going on there. We use our 3D printers all the time, and we're going to be expanding probably into maybe a Formlabs this year and something that can do more engineering grade plastics. The HT90 can do Ultim and some other cool things. We don't have any Ultim parts we need to make, but it also has a larger build volume than our bamboos. And so looking at, I'm going over there with two of my employees who do most of our additive work, and just saying, hey guys, let's walk around anything you see that we could use that would make the stuff you do every day easier, faster, better, or would allow us to try new things. Let's look at it carefully, take pictures, talk about it, figure out a budget, and then put in some POs next week or the week after.
Nice.
Neat.
So today's additive day for me.
Awesome.
Nice.
What about you?
So I've intentionally not gone to the Brother booth because I want to go to the booth with Andrew specifically, a Brother user,
Awesome.
walk it. I was also going to go, I've avoided the Kern booth because I was going to go there with Grimsmo, who is not at the show.
I know.
Crushes
Really?
me.
Such
Yeah.
a bummer.
No way.
Yeah. So, but anyways, I'll go over there. I was talking to some people. I was standing in the Doosan booth, and a few people came up. We were chatting about like this really quiet deburring machine that's fast. It's like it's 20, 30, 40 times faster, and it creates mirror finishes on parts. And I'm like, that's like the Instant Machinist hack of the year.
Is it one of those spinner
It's a
things?
Yeah,
spinner.
I think
Those
Zach
things are-
Smith was telling me about that
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was like, have you seen this yet? I was like, nah,
Yeah.
it doesn't sound real. Like,
Right.
With the little stainless steel needles.
Yeah, I believe it's that stuff.
Yeah, those things. That's what EJ Swarf Unlimited uses for all his parts before he does anodize, and it looks insane. They look so good.
Yeah, so that's like, we don't need it, but we need it.
Right.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So
Right.
yeah.
Jay needs it.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of purchases
Good old
as a
Jay
business
to buy.
that are just quality of life. They're
Yeah,
not,
true.
I'm not going to justify it with dollars and cents because it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Right.
Justify it with your heart.
Right.
Yes.
Well, like we bought that bubble wrap machine that makes bubble wrap. And people are like, oh, are you saving money? I'm like, well, technically, like with storage, like I don't have to have shelves of bubble wrap now, but really, no, I'm not. Like dollar for dollar, it is almost the exact same cost as buying cheap bubble wrap.
Yeah, totally.
But it's super cool.
Yeah.
And it makes it on
Really cool.
demand.
No, my director of
It's
finance
exciting.
is going to
Yeah.
hate me for wanting to buy this because right now we have a few parts that we send out to Tumble, that deburr type stuff, and it's like 80 cents a part, you know, and it's like it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense when Jay says he wants it.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, if you leave here without a grinder, I mean, it's just like one
it's
to
a
one.
total failure.
Girl
yeah,
math, baby.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's machinist math, right?
Yeah, I didn't buy a grinder, so I had to buy the tumbler.
Yeah.
Like, sweet.
I'm practically saving money,
Yes. Yeah, it's
Oh,
free.
yeah.
practically making money.
Yeah.
So I wanted to circle back to the thing you said, Dylan, about it's changed over the years being at IMTS. The very first IMTS, the very first Instant Machinist meetup, everybody there was just happy to stand around and talk. Nobody had really important meetings happening. Everyone was just excited to be here. People were swapping stickers and swag and just taking selfies and having a great time. And as a lot of those shops have grown and become larger, more employees, more machines, more risk, more responsibility, this transforms a lot less into a, hey, let's go have fun in Chicago, and more I have a lot of things to get done this week. And that is a real vibe change, but it hasn't changed equally for everybody.
Oh yeah, but
And-
it's a bummer, man. Like I'm like I have
Yeah.
things to do, and this
Yeah.
sucks. Like it used to be relaxing coming here and just like I get to hang out with people and cool. I get to see some cool machines, and now it's like I've got a checklist of things I
Yeah.
have to do for my company, and I still have yet to do any of them. I'm on
Right.
day 3 now, and I really have a lot to get done.
It's like coming to IMTS for you was like a hobby activity. It was fun, and now it's a job. It's
Yes.
an
Yeah.
obligation. That's
Yeah.
the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, being able to podcast here makes it a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
I have been spending a lot of time with friends, which is why I haven't accomplished anything yet.
Yeah. Friends are great for that.
But yeah, today is like I've already had to tell a few people like I can't record with you. I'm sorry. I've actually really need to get this done. Like
Yeah.
maybe tomorrow can be my free day, but like I've got 3 big things to get checked off my list. So
It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's like we're grown-ups now, man.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm over it.
I've never been. I haven't been this fried from like standing around talking in like a really long time. It's
Yeah.
so bizarre.
Yeah.
And that's like something for you to say because you really do love like talking about machining, like
Yeah.
not in a bad way. Like that is
Right.
you love it, and
Yeah.
for you to say I'm
I've had
even
enough
tired of
talking
it.
about it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something. So,
Oh hell yeah.
but the booths are starting to open.
Apparently the doors just opened.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Game day.
That's awesome.
First quarter.
Any other small stuff you guys are looking for? You said 3D printers, obviously 5-axis. You guys been talking about on your podcast a
Yeah,
bunch.
not a lot else. I'm trying to reserve some time for myself on the last day, having checked everything off, to just go explore areas where I have some curiosity, and that's where I'm going to just be blazing through and just glancing around and seeing if anything catches my eye. I'm not scouring booths. I'm just blazing through and saying, I need to remember that. I need to remember that. I need to come back and look at that. I need to ask about that. I need to check YouTube for that, just to back clean up and capture those things. And then, of course, I need to take a ride on the tram, just like make sure I get on one of those golf carts.
You did talk it up quite a bit on your podcast.
Yesterday was my first day here, and I've been almost completely in this one bay, so I haven't had to go anywhere. I need to stop in and see Liz and Nick and Alfred over at AB Tools today, and I'll be back at Kern for the meetup. But there are still a few things like getting on a golf cart and zipping around behind the building that are just fun. They're not a business activity. They're just for me. I enjoy them.
That's going to be a
piece of
solo
normalcy.
activity. You're not going to take the team with you.
So I spent most of yesterday running around alone.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Because you brought like the whole squad over to the
Basically
booth.
brought our whole machining team.
Yeah.
Part of it is I walk really fast, and most of my guys walk at a reasonable
Yeah. Yeah.
Normal human pace. I like that.
But also we had specific things other people were supposed to be looking at, and so it wasn't a let's all go together and just be a scrum, because that's not the point.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah, it'll probably be a solo activity. At some point, I'll just sneak out the back and hop on a golf cart.
Yeah. Bye. Yeah. Just walking by those
It's
guys.
fun. It's fun.
That's funny because we know each other like digitally, you
Yeah.
know? And so it's fun to hear you say you walk fast. Andrew's like the Speedio version of humans, essentially. He does everything fast.
That's fucking
That's the right
phenomenal.
machine for you.
But I only have 21
Yeah.
mental tools.
Uh-oh. Here comes, yeah, U500 PO coming.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is amazing. What about you, Jay? I mean, you said CNC grinder. Any other small stuff you guys are looking for?
Yeah, so I've been able to connect with like different kind of like legacy things. Like I went to the Durabar booth.
Oh, you guys use that for the...
Yeah, we use it for our Rotovice
Right.
exclusively. And it's like, I just need to like touch base with you. What's going on? Oh, we have this new grade or this new treatment or these new studies. Awesome. Okay. I've been wanting to use this coating treatment called carbonite, where they blast on like carbide essentially. And I'm like, can we do that for any jaws that we make? Maybe. So I've known about them for like over a decade. I just need to reconnect. So I almost went to talk to my coolant people, but I'm like, it's coolant. What am I gonna? I'm not gonna switch. Even what are you gonna convince me of something? We're gonna do a whole shop switch. So we'll
Just go on
stick with
Friday
it.
when they're doing shots at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Shots and
pretty much.
coolant.
Yeah.
Coolant shots.
Yeah, whichever one makes me less sick. That's probably the right one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Who do you guys use right now?
Qualichem.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it's hard to make a coolant switch throughout the whole shop. It's everything. It's cleaning. It's a multi-day process. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
no, we're just gonna keep using it. I don't need to talk to these guys.
good
But just
stuff.
really like regular, just touching base with the people I know. What do I need to be updated on?
Oh, yeah.
So
Well, I mean, speaking of that, we went to the, Swiss Precision dinner last night
That was
with
interesting.
Freza
Yeah.
and got to, put some more FaceTime with Doug and Joel and Paul. It was not at all what I expected. I don't know about you.
No. Number one, I didn't expect that His Excellency would be there. Like that, the guy.
I wasn't
the-
there.
I love that. That's beautiful. The Swiss ambassador to the U.S. was there.
Yeah.
He's been like the ambassador for like 2 weeks, and there was like yodeling happening.
Yeah,
which was
the entire
pretty wild.
time, like they came out and played like the giant horns.
Yeah.
They were yodeling. It was
Extremely Swiss.
yeah, and way fancier than I thought. Like Brad and I went straight from the show,
Yeah.
and immediately felt underdressed because
Right.
like he walks in and the person's like, "Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to take off your hat."
Which
We're
I
like,
thought was
"Oh
interesting.
no,
Nobody asked me to take my hat off.
really?"
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was immediately we're like, "Oh, I feel terrible being here with my t-shirt and jeans." You know?
Yeah. It was fancy as hell.
Yeah.
And it's like, but the food was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I was starving. So they're like, it was like, they're like giving speeches and yodeling, and it was like, all right. I mean, this is good. It's very interesting to know that the United States is the largest trade partner of Switzerland. That's cool. Like, I have Swiss heritage. Like 2 years ago, I went to Switzerland and like sprinkled my grandmother's ashes because she grew up there in Switzerland in the lake where she grew up or whatever. So that was neat. But as soon as that buffet opened, I was like, fuck it.
Yeah, you want to talk about walking fast?
Yeah.
He pulled an
Yeah.
Andrew Henry and was like halfway across
he
the room.
transported just.
Yeah.
Oh, he really did. Like he beat everyone. We were on the farthest table from the line, and he was
Yeah.
first in line.
Yeah.
He's filling his hat.
Yeah, I got everything.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Except the vegetables. I was fine with that.
yeah.
I just needed protein.
Yeah, but it's things like that are the real reason I come to IMTS. Was like I got to bend the ear of both of the directors of RegoFix. I was
Right.
like, hey, I wanted to, love your holding or tools. Would really like to talk to you about how I order them. And they're like, yeah, sure. We
Yeah.
talked a little bit, and he's like, come by the booth tomorrow, and we'll talk about it more. I was like, cool, all right.
Yeah,
and,
so
and that
John
wouldn't have
Miller.
happened. Yeah, John Miller,
Yeah.
past guest of the podcast, who I haven't heard from in forever, and he
like-
came over and was like, hey, how's it going? So
Yeah.
that was great.
That's cool.
That was cool. Then he was like, oh, I'm here with Rego. And it's like, oh, Dylan, you need to meet
Yes.
Jeff Schemmel, who is like currently national sales guy, but taking over,
Yeah.
I think.
And then I met Bill as well.
Current president.
And
Yeah.
they're opening a giant
Tech center.
tech center in Ohio, I think.
Machining.
Center of Machining Excellence.
Center of Machining Excellence.
Wow,
Yeah.
nice.
A lot
So
of
that-
excellence from the Swiss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But they're gonna have giant TVs with live feeds to like a Kern that they have there, and a few other Swiss, or German machine tools. They're gonna, Renishaw is gonna be doing training there for probing. They're gonna have all of their Swiss partners there that you can look at. It sounded super cool.
Yeah, and that's like in your backyard in
Yeah.
Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's.
Have you gone there?
I'm not.
Yeah, you have to go
I
there.
think that he said their grand openings in October.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Road trip.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
How far is it from you?
A couple hours.
Oh, sick.
Worth it.
Easy.
Yeah, worth it.
Yeah.
I got to meet Bill. I'm blanking on his last name. The founder of Datron.
Oh,
and
sick.
just to shake his hand, saying thank
Yeah.
you for building a machine that all machines should be like the
Right.
control. Why it's 2024? Why are we not using touchscreen, like good touchscreen camera integration? Drawing.
You can trace your finger around a part, and it's
Yeah.
like, I'll probe that.
Yeah,
And
it's
like,
insane.
okay.
Like this is how it should be.
Yeah.
So like I was an early adopter of 3D printing where you needed to interact with G code a little bit. It's doing that weird thing. I got to trim it, tweak it. Like machines, like it's very polarizing what I'm about to say, but like G code should kind of go away. If you could just go out of CAM into the machine,
Yeah.
and just be able to manage it through a beautiful interface. And I think Datron's the ones that are going to push that, So
Yeah, I
it
could
was
see that.
it was great just to say hi and say thank you for like being someone that's like moving this industry forward. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited to hear about this kind of stuff because those kinds of connections and the ability to actually have valuable feedback to give to them is something that is earned through years of experience and trial and error and investment and learning.
Yep.
Yeah.
It would have been presumptuous for us to talk to RegoFix about much of anything in 2016.
Right.
But now we actually have something legitimate to say, and that's really great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's crazy to meet those kinds of people too. Like I was telling you before the show, I had Yuto Matsuura on
Yeah.
the show yesterday. I met Dr. Kitamura, and he like walked me through a Supercell 300 yesterday.
That super stealthy with the
Yeah.
60 pallets.
Uh-huh.
Gorgeous.
But it's just wild to like be able to meet those people in person. You see them on their websites as like, oh, the legacy or something, and so it's so cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Awesome, guys. Well, any last words before we wrap up?
No, I'm gonna try to keep my feet alive. So
Yeah.
find a few cushy booths to stand in. I have to stop the text or take a phone call.
Yeah.
Find someplace with comfortable floors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us on.
You are listening to Within Tolerance, a podcast for machinists by a machinist. I'm your host, Dylan Jackson, at day 4 of IMTS, and I am with
John Saunders.
Thank you for joining me. We have not talked at all on the podcast. I would love to do a full episode with you sometime and get into your backstory more. Not that people don't know it, but thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
How's IMTS been?
Great. Well, no. So I said this to Grimsmo when we recorded our podcast yesterday that I've talked about it before about you need to come in with a plan. You need to think, like, not be bouncing around between the halls and have a kind of a plan. And then I didn't do a great job this year. I got a lot accomplished that I needed to, but the ability to like think when you're here, to like stop and think is something I can't do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. I'm very glad that I bought a machine last week and not this week, because I feel like you just kind of get caught up into the hype. It's the same thing with auctions. Like, people go to auctions and spend like 10% less than a brand new machine on a machine. And it's because you're just caught up in the hype of like, oh, this is so cool. So yeah, I totally agree.
Have you done, well, I want to hear what you bought, but then have you done the auction buying thing?
I've gone for past jobs. They've sent me as like their representative to look at stuff. And yeah, I mean, we tried to bid on a few, like a CMM at my last job, and it ended up going for $5,000 more than the same thing new.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And people just don't realize. They're like, oh, they don't see there's an 18% buyer's fee, and things like that. And wild, absolutely wild.
Agreed. That's fine.
Yeah. So
what'd you buy? Sorry.
No. I bought the U500 we were looking at. Yeah. We went up to Phoenix, ran that test cut. It all looked good. We need more 5-axis now. I would love to wait for the XD2 to get the extra travel, but I don't know. I went back through. The great thing of like Fusion and Machine Sim is I just went back through and reprogrammed, swapped out all my fixturing to the U500 for all the stuff I've already run on the Hermla.
Yep.
And 90% of it fit. That's golden. Sure.
Will you try to or deliberately limit the materials on the U500? I mean,
No.
you have a Hermla, so it's like the Hermla, obviously, like, awesome, can do anything, but is the U500 only going to be like aluminum or lighter? No?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we run steels and titanium in our other Speedios, so I'm not worried about it. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. Like, we're going to have to use longer tool holders. If that, plus a harder material, plus the slight loss in rigidity because of the trunnion means that we can't do it, then we'll reevaluate, but I really don't expect it.
And do you have post-anxiety?
No.
Okay.
No, it's 2 or 3 minor edits. We made them by hand when I did the test.
Oh, wow.
And we use DSI for our post, so Phil will take care of it.
Right. Okay. Because one of the things it's funny because I think, and forgive me if this comes off the wrong way, but like so many people like ask us for opinion, but like I still very much am a student in learning, and even talking to like Matisse at Hermla, it's like, no, when you turn on and off a brake, that's a physical interaction as between the platter and so forth, and it doesn't not move things. I don't know if you have I'm curious what your...
It's very little, at least on the Hermla, like the C-axis. I think it moves maybe a tenth, if that. The brother I didn't check. I don't expect it to be a problem. Like I think that you just throw full on locks when you're doing full 5-axis, and then throw full locks at whatever, and I don't expect it to be an issue. We're not trying to do I don't know, like crazy satellite or semiconductor stuff on it. Like everything is plus or minus 2 thou for the most part that we do for our customers. Yeah.
Rewinding to our early UMC days, one of the lessons, it's like one of those, like, nobody tells you this. Same thing. We didn't have a tolerancing issue so much as I didn't know. And this was, I don't know if it was more about the Haas NGC or whether it was just the way the post worked, but it would turn on and off the brake, which involved, I believe, an air purge or blast or cylinder of some sort. And every time you did retracts, repositions, et cetera, and it was significant cycle time.
Oh, it does that on the U, and not only does it do that, but the way they routed the exhaust for the brakes is like not at all muffled. Okay. So when we were running that part up there, I kept jumping because it would go to unlock and go to the next position. I was like, oh, what was that? It's like, okay, it's not a crash. Cool. Yeah. And Scott, our apps guy, is looking at bigger mufflers for those because of that, because he's like, this is terrifying, while you're trying, like, head in the machine trying to figure something out.
It's funny.
Yeah, but no, it's gonna be great. I'm super stoked. It's supposed to ship hopefully next week and then get installed by the end of September, or within a week or two of that.
Awesome. So
congrats.
Thanks. That's cool.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So did you find your bar champ? I think everybody mostly listens to the bomb who listens to this. So
my last day, I have not stepped foot into North.
Okay.
So on my list was to check out I think it's JF Burns. Does that sound correct? I think the bar champ maker.
That sounds right.
And then I have not actually met Chris Zappettini yesterday, and I heard a lot of good things, and I want to go check out I think it's in the UR booth.
Yeah, it is. It's on the very corner of it. You'll hear it. It's the only one cutting in the entire wing. So awesome. Yeah, that's great. Anything else you're looking for while you're here?
Well, so the two things, and it's actually funny. So one is I wanted to ask you about tooling because you were awesome and you'd reach out on Insta and sort of said, hey, everyone has said great things about Rigo. And so it's kind of like, okay, this is great. It's not, it's an investment.
Oh, yeah.
It's a choice. But as a small shop, and I assume you can relate, like, okay, there's times where you just like, don't worry about it. Like, it's just money. Just do it. You won't look back. And there's so many things, whether it's building the right team, getting the right equipment. The Wilhelmina certainly feels that way, although that certainly was nuts. And so on that note, there's just a bunch of things, the shorter gauge length and the smaller, what do you want to call it, the shorter...
Oh, like nose diameter or whatever? Yeah.
Nose diameter can do for you on Rigo. That being said, to date, we've gotten along pretty well. Mari Tool has really brought some new stuff out to market. Mm-hmm. We've been able to buy Technic stuff from MSC for a pretty good price. And then Wilhelmina will also sell you tool holders. I can't remember who makes them, but they're quite expensive, certainly comparable with a Rigo, and they're still an ER style.
Right.
And so I just sort of said, well, if we're going to do this, you get the benefit of being in the Rigo ecosystem. We will probably buy some holders for the verticals. But yeah, would love to hear you. What do you like? What do you not like? What do you learn?
Totally. I mean, as cliche as it is, and everybody says, it is the best. Like, okay. It's not, in my mind, there is no question. Like, we still use Big Daishowa hydraulic holders. Yep. They have the little slimline ones. Mm-hmm. We use a 6mm ball as our standard, finishing ball. And it's great for that. I mean, those are even more expensive than a Rigo holder, so it's not like that's a good alternative. But they're just great. The thing that we were talking about last night is you just need to follow the rules. Like, there are rules that Rigo sets out that they don't. I feel like they're not as forthright with as they should be.
Okay.
The collets have a screw in the back of them. Like, I'm trying to think. Like, hydraulic holders sometimes do. Shrink fits do. It's the same kind of concept, but the shank of the tool has to be up against that screw or past the screw. You can take the screw out if you've got like a very long 1/8" shank. Like, you very often with like micro tooling will have a 1.5" shank on that. That can go past no problem. And I use a little bit of Rodico to just hold the tool where I want it in that case.
You put the Rodico's the like poster putty.
Yeah.
But the fan. You put that in the holder?
Not in the holder. So like on between the, like I put the tool in and then put it kind of in the corner. Like a little weld fillet kind of to hold it, and then I just peel it back off when I'm done.
Okay.
But yeah, you have to be seated in it. It's not like ER, and this was, maybe we just didn't ask the right questions when we bought it the first time, but I came from ERs where you're like, I need 100 thou more. I pull it out at 100 thou. I need 100 thou more. I pull it out at 100 thou. You can't do that. They say you can very jankily, if you want, cut off a pin or another shank and put it in if you need a little bit of length, but there are potential drawbacks where like it can capture that little piece of shank. You can crush it. There's all these things because basically what happens is you are press fitting this all together, and so it will press fit the empty part of the collet closed, and
it just collapses the tunnel.
Yeah, you can never use it again. So that it is now that short collet forever.
You lose the collet. You don't lose the holder.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's the great part of the whole system is like you blow up a collet and like, yeah, it sucks. It's $100 or $200 depending on what style collet it is.
Yeah.
But it's only $100 or $200. It's not $600 or $700 or whatever. So, plus you get the mechanical dampening of a collet system versus shrink. Like I think we've all had that ringing that shrink brings to a cut. They hold like crazy, but yeah, it's not as good. And then, I can't remember how many thousands of cycles they certify each collet to as well. So it's not like a shrink where like the lifespan is a near-term thing that you have to worry about where you're going to burn that thing out. And then cleanliness is like the other big rule. Like we clean everything multiple times. Everything ships, every style holder, so PG 15, 10, whatever, ships with a little thing that holds these cleaning wipes. Okay. And you wrap them around, you wet it with alcohol, and then you clean the bore of the holder, and then you clean the collet, and then you clean the shank of the tool even. because like our regional rep, Joe West, said that the only pullout he's ever seen, they had that, they sent them new call-outs. They said, so sorry, send us back the old ones so we can see. And it was because they had not cleaned the shipping coating off enough.
Sure.
And it's impossible to know. So like they just told us recently, they said start using brake cleaner to clean it for the first time. Not past that. He's like, spray it down with brake cleaner, wipe it off, then clean it with alcohol, and you're good to go. He's like, but until they have a better way of certifying like you've gotten that shipping stuff off, they have no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's funny because as a fixture plate manufacturer, we're sensitive to, we don't control downstream stuff. So we've sent stuff to South America where a importer has held it in a warehouse in Mexico for 45 days. Like I can't.
Oh, geez.
Like the rust isn't my fault.
Right.
But what do you say? And so we have LPS, and there's another spray product. I can't remember, like a tool and die saver or something.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway, it reminds me of it seems less than ideal to tell your customer the first thing you need to do is remove this obnoxious grease. But I also sympathize with that.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like they come in, and I've never had one that has even had the hint of rust. However long they're sitting on their shelves. So I guess that's something. But yeah, otherwise they're just great. Like I've said it before on the podcast. I see like setting up a part as like this checklist of things. So you've got like a few checks related to tool holding, you've got a few checks related to work holding, and then you've got like the programming of the part. And Rigo just eliminates all of those checks. It's like, I don't have to worry about run out. I don't have to worry about pull-up power. I don't have to worry about anything. Tool life goes up, all that stuff. Yeah, they're just great.
So let's say you have one that has a 4mm tool or 6mm tool. If you just decide the tool's worn out or for whatever reason needs replaced, will you just put it in the press, hit the button, and then just pull the tool out and just put a new one right back in? Or do you disassemble it?
I usually disassemble and clean it. I think you can get away with it. You will get some dust and debris down in the little slits that allow for the press. Realistically, it's just not that much more time. And again, my whole thing is just like, how many things can I stop thinking about in this process? So
100%.
Yeah, if I take the extra 10 seconds to pull it apart, clean it really quick, you can ultrasonic it and alcohol or something if you really wanted to. But yeah, I think you guys would be served well by it, because tool life, it goes up like crazy too, like in stainless and all that. Like oh man, night and day. Yeah.
And so you're running dual is everything from Rigo dual contact? I need to think about it.
No. We buy the dual contact holders from them. They are like one of 3 licensed people to do real, dual contact, and that was another reason that we were, hard pressed to go that way. So we have all dual contact in all the Speedios, and then HSK is automatically dual contact. So,
right. Okay. So I was gonna say you do Rigo on the Hermla.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And then do you explain, like I don't know nothing? Explain like I'm 5. The PG 15, 25, 40. Is that to the diameter of the OD?
I think it's the diameter of the hole that the collet goes into.
Okay.
Because like the max a PG 15 can go to is 1/2 inch, and those are actually special thin wall collets that are certified for less pressings. So 10mm is like their actual max, and then 1/2 inch is like their thin wall collets. I think you still get thousands of press. I mean, they said they have never had any major issues with it. But I believe it's just the hole of the actual holder itself. So it kind of is in no relation to anything you'd want to know.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we use a bunch of PG10 in the Hermla for smaller tools, tight reach. You get a ton of clearance. I love some PG6, but again, every time you add a new one, you're like, okay, I need more collets, I need more dies, all this stuff, and it just kind of snowballs like crazy. So we started with 15. We now have 10. The U500 is going to get a bunch of 15 and 10, and we'll see if I need 16 or 6 in the future.
Smaller stuff.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever need. We have a little bit of 25 for the Hermla, just for 3/4 inch end mills or something, because I think the max 15. Yeah, the max 15 goes to is 1/2 inch. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of an interesting process, as I'm certainly involved in like talk about it like the capital planning, but on the flip side, Grant, who runs our Willamette, is the one that's like, what go find out what tools you want. He's here at the show. It's the first time. So like, go figure out what you want, and it's sort of a weird way of like, okay, so now you have somebody who's like putting together a wish list, a budget, and then you got to think about, are you doing that? Are you still involved in all your?
Oh yeah, it's just me and Brad. I mean, yeah. So it's we kind of talk about stuff at lunch and figure out what we want to do and just go for it like
Right.
that. Yeah.
Right.
We're trying to keep it as small as possible for as long as possible because I don't know, it's just really hard to like our whole business philosophy is just like sending absolute jewelry of high accuracy products, and like teaching that is really, really hard.
Sure.
So automation is definitely on our horizon, and then we'll bring people on and all that.
Are you still packing every order then?
Him and I do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, right.
One of us does.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually, it's very rare that both of us are working on a hot item at the exact same time. Okay. So like if I'm working on the hot job for the day, he's the one packing for me and making all the pack slips and stuff. And that is actually probably going to be our first employee, is all of that stuff, because we've got a potential project coming up that's going to require like a 10x in our shipping volume. And so that's a super easy thing. Like, hey man, just put the label here and put it in the bag and you're good, So yeah, we'll see. Cool. Yeah, we'll see. Anything else you're excited for
at the show?
Yeah.
We make this 0-point system. I want to rethink how we make it, and some of that was, I want to say, delayed because we were waiting on the new Williman.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's here, and so I had this idea. Thought maybe it would involve a mill turn, and this was the joke. I don't know if I told you the joke. I've told a few people, but it was kind of funny because I'm sitting there telling my wife before IMTS, I'm like, okay, I could, the ST20Y is effectively idle now that the Williman is here, and the UMC 350 was a relic from the training program. It's great to have it, but don't necessarily need it. So I'm thinking through, like, do this, sell this, do this, what I need to do. And she's like, can't wait to hear the girl math on you buy this next machine. And I was kind of like, well played. I deserve that one.
Well, we were talking last night, and like it sounded like you had some very real reasons to buy the new Williman, and also some very, well, I want it, so let's get it.
Yeah. No, but to me, that's like been the ethos over the last 10 years. It's like build the foundation that gets you enough to get in the door with something, and then when you buy a machine, it's like at our level, it's not like that machine has 100% allocation, so you get the side benefit of using a U500 or Hermla to do fun stuff, whatever that is.
Oh yeah,
life's great.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's wonderful. How's the new Williman going?
It's phenomenal.
Yeah,
absolutely phenomenal. Came online, the minimal training because it's just I think it was moved from a 16i to a 31i control.
Mm-hmm.
It's slightly different interface. Same post with just a different post property selection options there. We do more turning stuff than CJ, who's driven through a lot of that post development. I think also through DSI. Not even sure.
I believe so.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Anyway. We had tried to run as much inventory on the old Williman before selling it. We had kind of a structured sale. We had it for a certain period of time, and then our new machine was slightly delayed. We had slightly stronger sales in the gap period, which is great.
Of course.
And actually, my wife handles a lot of our planning and just project management and so forth like that. So we're kind of thinking how much in this awkward situation of do we sell. So we make these things called plug jacks. Do we hold plug jack back because they go as part of a larger kit, which is maybe a higher value overall order, and that's quite important. Mm-hmm. But if somebody comes in and buys 16 of them, it's hard to also not honor that person's order. Luckily, it never got that close or bad, but we were kind of down to the wire.
Oh boy.
And I also didn't want Grant to have any pressure. I like to take your time when the machine gets here. I will do what I need to do to make it right if we are behind on an order. And it never happened. The machine was making parts day 3.
Awesome.
All the tooling worked. The soft jaws or the second op jaws worked, and caught up on all inventory in, I guess, 2 weeks. And then now it's R&D. It's. I mean, you're familiar with the platform. It's an incredible machine.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. Did you have a bar feeder on your old one?
We did, and we used it kind of as a single bar pusher, but that machine didn't have the fire suppression, and so we weren't running it after hours, so you didn't really need a bar feeder.
Okay. What made you not add, I guess, at what point did you realize you needed fire suppression, and how did that overlap with you just deciding, all right, I just needed a new Williman actually?
When I was first developing that strike mark sniper target 15 years ago, the engineer that we'd hired had a joke that I'll never forget. And he's like, there's people who use fuses and there's people who will use fuses.
Yeah.
And so look, do we need fire suppression? Probably not. Mm-hmm. We probably could get by. But the capital expenditure of the Williman that's in a shop that is my lifeblood.
Oh yeah.
It's just
it's just frankly irresponsible to come in one day to a fire.
Oh yeah,
It just is.
Well, you see videos from like Danny, when that happens, and it's just terrifying. Like it literally goes off like a bomb. It's not a slow fire that builds from somewhere. So I totally understand. Why would you not? It's such a low cost in relation to the protection it gives.
Yeah.
I mean, it's expensive. Don't
You're
get me wrong.
right, yeah. And it's one of those, like, it's not fun to buy it.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. But it was the right call.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Are you looking at any tooling or anything like that? Are you guys pretty happy with your tooling for all your plates and stuff?
Yeah, that stuff is great. I think the biggest tooling thing here would have been the holders, like the Rigo fix. We do sort of go make that, which I think we will.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it was kind of like, okay, how do we consolidate processes? So how do we avoid doing multi-op stuff, do single ops? It's been great on that. We've talked about on the BOM a lot, consolidating all the aluminum on the horizontal, which has been new fixtures, which is where I'm interested to see what Toolpath can do about, here they're focused about quoting stuff, which probably speaks to your world maybe, but
Oh yeah, it's already helped me out.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, yeah. So we use paperless parts for quoting, and I had a job recently that paperless said, "Yeah, go for it, totally fine. Here's what we think it is." And, we massaged the numbers, sent it out. Brad starts programming it. He goes, "This entire bottom is a 3D surface, like a very shallow 3D surface," and it didn't catch it at all. Threw it in Toolpath, and it was like, "This entire bottom is red. You need to figure something out." Like it caught that feature immediately. So its interrogation of models is great right now.
Yeah. The point wasn't necessarily to talk about Toolpath, but although shout out to them for hosting
100%.
the podcast
Yeah.
this week.
It's made this week fantastic.
Yeah, seeing it quickly tell you what doesn't work as a DFM seems pretty powerful.
Yeah.
I care more about it because it can also then start to lay down toolpaths. I love Fusion. I genuinely love programming parts, but I'm all set on 2D contours and 2D adaptives on 2.5 axis parts.
Right. You've set up enough drilling cycles for the rest of your life. I gotcha. I'm very much the same way. I'm looking forward to Toolpath taking over that kind of stuff. All right, so I've got 80% of it done. I need to go and do the fun stuff. Because I love doing the 3D toolpaths and figuring out, how do I sculpt this to make it look cool. I'm stoked for that.
How about you? Do you see anything? Are you here looking or?
We're looking at CMMs. So I went and saw VeraSurf yesterday, which was really impressive. It's built on the Mastercam kernel. It's basically Mastercam's answer to, any Eclipso or PCDMIS or whatever like that. It was it seemed so easy to use, and like he said, they're willing to give us like a Mastercam home learning edition version of VeraSurf to kind of play with and throw our parts in and all that. He's like, I can't just give it to you. We kind of have to meet, and I need to give you a little bit of hand holding first so that you're not just angry at it in 5 minutes kind of thing. But
this is like a pre-purchase demo, for you to.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're trying to make all these decisions smartly because. I was a PCDMIS programmer for 3 years in the last job, and it sucked. I learned more on their forums about how to run the machine than I did from the trainings that my employer paid thousands of dollars for, and that's just not right. That was super cool. We've got a meeting shortly here in a couple hours with Wenzel. We've looked at Zeiss a little bit. We're still looking at PCDMIS or Hexagon machines just because our salesman is so awesome. Tate is fantastic, and I'd love to buy a machine from him. I don't think we will, but so that was a big one. Brad and I need to go over to parts washing today because that's kind of a pain point sometimes in our shop. I don't want anything major, but like a small either ultrasonic or a vapor degreaser or something. We're not sure where we're going to go with that, but we need something. And then I think we're going to end up with that Haas saw. I'm really not sure.
Really?
Yeah, it's a really good option. They didn't know anything about it. We ended up going. No, we were asking them questions, and they were like, "It's a brand new product. We don't know what you're talking about." But JLH, who makes it, is in the North Hall. So we just walked across over there and asked them all the questions we needed, and they had all the answers. And it's only $1,000 difference to get it from Haas or JLH, and financing from Haas is financing from Haas. Right. So, but it seems great. It's a fairly small bar rem. I mean, it comes with hydraulic banding clamps if you want to do bands.
No kidding.
Oh, it comes with everything. It comes with a meter long infeed table, all that stuff.
It's a bigger saw than I expected.
Yes. Yeah. But It is 10 grand cheaper than the smaller dual saw that we really wanted.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's not that big, much bigger of a footprint than that one.
So dumb question, like seriously,
Yeah.
but why don't you just order stuff saw cut delivered?
We have no good stainless suppliers that I have access to in Arizona.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. The aluminum stuff I can chop on my chop saw,
Yeah, right.
or I order it pre-cut, but we order a ton of our stainless through McMaster, and it's 2 or 3 foot bars.
Got it.
And we can do smaller stuff on our chop saw with the stainless blade, but you know, I also do stuff out of like 4x4 316, and like I'm not going to sit there for 10 minutes per cut try to make it through this, and then Brad ends up going to his old job and using their saw because they're very nice about that. Then we just can't keep doing that.
Sure.
You know, it's an hour there and back and whatever. You know, it's not sustainable for sure. So we definitely don't need an auto saw, but when you're in the, I mean, am I going to pay 20 grand for a manual saw, or am I going to pay 30 grand for an auto saw and just never think about it as quantities increase?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
I never thought I would say like, oh yeah, I'm buying a Haas import saw, but
Yeah.
here I am. You know, like, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got a neat control. Like it has all the speeds and feeds in it already, so you choose the size, the shape of the material, what material it is, and it recommends it. And then it has like their AI mode, which is really just it senses motor torque, and if it sees it bogging, it slows it down. Like, all right,
Can we please stop calling things
right?
AI?
Yeah, it
Sure.
does not need to be AI mode, but it is an intelligent mode. I'll just
Sure.
call it intelligent. That's fine.
Sure.
I would have been happy with that. Who knows how well it works? You know, we might always leave it on manual adjust instead of AI mode anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, for 28K, 29K, it's like a pretty attractive package. So,
Awesome.
Yeah. And I think that's about it. Like we came mostly to just talk to people,
Yeah.
you know, go to events and meet up with people. And the Kern meetup yesterday was amazing.
Dude, congrats. You did. Like, that's incredible.
Thank you.
I don't know how many. It went on for 2+ hours.
Oh yeah, we closed down the hall
Yeah.
again. Like that was wild. And thank you for bringing J5 out.
Well, you're welcome. But although, again, that was current. I was like, I love it. I'd love to do it. And they were like, yeah, we would love to have it. So it's like, it sounds stupid, but to know that I like pushed him or actually drove him up into the crate in Zanesville, Ohio.
That's so cool.
And actually we air tagged him. So just because I was like, if he gets lost, I would like to know where he is. And so
Right.
every time I hop in the bus to leave IMTS, it's like, you have left Johnny 5 behind.
Oh no.
But to like put him in a crate and have the truck pick him up and then to walk in here and see him in the South Hall is pretty cool.
That's amazing. Yeah, it was for something that's been part of the community for so long. It is very satisfying to see him there in the booth for sure.
Thank you.
So yeah, it must be nice too, because you guys built the crate and everything to get him here too. I imagine that's you know, if you look backwards on your career, it's only been, you know, in the last few years that you've had a company that just like, oh, we need to build a crate, let's put it together, no problem. He's gone. You know, it's not even a thought. Like for me, we don't freight ship anything. It would take me serious work and thought and all that, and that's not something we have sorted like that. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, any last words before we get out of here?
Thanks for having me. I genuinely wanted to hear about RegoFix, and then I was thinking I wanted to hear about your Hermla, which I would still love to hear more about.
Oh.
But it was actually the CMM that we were talking about last night.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know why. I've heard so many people say that the software stinks, but not only does the software stink, but there is no online anything. Yeah, like me and 1,000 other people have created YouTube content on machining, on speeds and feeds, on Fusion, on whatever. Like you can find whole practical machinist posts that will help you in this situation. There is nothing. It's like a vacuum of devoid of any information on CMMs.
It's crazy. I will say, if anybody listening to this is a PC Demus programmer, their forum is fantastic.
Okay.
Like they have ex-apps guys on there, current app guys on there, and a ton of users. And like I said, that was where I learned how to be a really good CMM programmer. It was not through their classes.
Interesting.
Like I would go to the class and they'd say, use this feature, blah, blah, blah. And you go on the forum, they go, this thing is buggy. Don't do it like that. Do it like this. I don't know about Zeiss. And then VeraSurf, I imagine it's very much like Mastercam, where you have a lot of direct resources.
Okay.
And nothing open to the public. Because like when I was a Mastercam programmer, there's almost no content out there.
Interesting.
There's like their forum as well,
Yeah.
which is okay, but it's kind of outdated. And then there's nothing. Like
That's when I asked the Haas guy. I sort of said, hey, like, give me the sales pitch on the CMM. And And look, love them or hate them, I am super intrigued by what Haas is doing. I mean, they don't care. Like, they are going to keep doing stuff that's disruptive. And I didn't expect them to come out with a knee mill and a bandsaw.
Right.
But on the flip side, hey, it is what it is. And they were explaining the CMM, showing off it. It was Renishaw hardware. Nothing looked sus on it. Like, it looked fine.
Right.
But then I said, well, so how does the post-sale process work? And I don't think they totally knew, but it was clear that it wasn't at this point going to also include training.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to figure that out, whether it's HFOs or whether it's whoever qualifies the machine. And that's kind of scared me because...
Well, and it's a kind of unknown software. I think it's AA3D, and I had never heard of it. You look at it, and it is a DMIS-based software, so it kind of looks like PC DMIS, but PC DMIS is 20 years past the DMIS standard now,
Okay.
And so I don't know. Who knows?
DMIS, I just learned this week. DMIS is a open source-ish CMM backed architecture.
Yeah, but if you ask anybody from Hexagon, like PC DMIS is DMIS almost only in name at this point.
Got it.
Like, it is so far divorced from the standard that like you can't just take Hexagon code and throw it on the Haas CMM and it's going to work.
Got it.
It might share some command moves in similar, but
Okay.
I don't know.
Good to know.
It's just weird. Like, CMMs are tough. We've spent a long time looking at it. Like, I thought Zeiss was going to be the absolute win for sure, and then we spent some time with Easton programming. He gave us a 15-20 minute course on programming his Duramax.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad. There was some things that were way better than PC DMIS, but also a lot of control I'm used to that I just don't have in Calypso. And we'll see. I don't know.
Keep me posted. I'd love to see what you guys end up.
I'll let you know for sure.
We're trying to. I know we need to wrap up. We're trying to think about. We probably need a CMM, but it's also like, don't buy a CMM if you can hard gauge something, or don't buy a CMM only to find out that hard gauging was the right way to do something.
Yes.
So we're in that awkward stage right now.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, I can make a CMM say anything. Like, so that it's not only that you buy a CMM, but you have to like be very diligent on knowing the GD&T behind it and how you're programming it and what you're actually telling it. Because like I can fudge the numbers and change the filters and that hole that wasn't round is now all of a sudden round because I took less points and I changed my filter. Like, so yeah, it's a wonderful tool for very certain applications, but I think it's very much like AS9100 or something where like avoid it as long as you possibly can. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it, Dylan.
You are listening to Within Tolerance, a podcast for machinists by a machinist. I'm your host, Dylan Jackson from Proteum Machining, and this is IMTS Day 4. I am joined by...
Zap Consulting.
James Meyette, Selway Machine Tool.
Thanks for joining me, guys.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah. Day 4. James, we haven't heard from you yet. How is IMTS going for you?
IMTS is going great for us. A lot of booth traffic, we always see a lot of our customers that have been customers for a long time, but we're seeing a lot of people that are really paying attention to palletized automation, and palletized 5-axis automation specifically. Nobody's been doing it longer than Matsuura. I believe the first palletized 5-axis machine they sold was rolled out to a customer, I think, in 1992 or 1993.
Oh, wow.
So long before a lot of companies that are in 5-axis now, long before those guys were even thinking about doing 5-axis, Matsuura has been doing it. So now people are really looking to minimize setups and just all the things because of labor issues and all those things. A 5-axis solves a number of problems.
Totally. Yeah. And then how many IMTSs does this make for you?
Well, my very first one was in 1998. And then the next one that I went to was 2008.
Oh, wow.
And then I've been to all the ones since 2008. So I don't know how many that is. There was one IMTS that got skipped because of COVID.
Right. So how does attendance look to you? Because I know I've talked to a lot of vendors who have said, it feels like it's back before COVID. Like numbers are up and it feels normal again.
I would definitely agree with that.
That's awesome.
And not just
what's more important than the numbers is the quality of the persons that walk through the booth. That's not to say that the students don't matter, that the machinists don't matter. They absolutely 100% matter. But we're seeing more of the decision makers come through, and they're having serious conversations, and that's always a good thing, at least from our side of the table.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I completely agree. Chris, how was yesterday?
Yesterday was a madhouse again. The traffic is absolutely insane. It was like kind of slow in the early day, like in the early hours, but then it really ramped up super hard. And it just kind of like stays there the whole day. Like we were busy until like 5:30, in that building, because we're I mean, again, we're the only people cutting. I mean, when you compile this together, it's just going to be people telling me that, or people are going to be hearing me say that a lot.
Yeah, like 40 times.
Yeah, but it really does like draw a crowd. Like yesterday at the end of the day, the UR guys, one of them was like, "You guys are doing stuff I've never seen before," and it's like that's pretty nuts to hear from like the company that sells the robots. Like, it's sick.
Right.
For sure.
And Troy showed up, the founder. He's here. So
awesome.
You need to come talk to him.
For sure.
Which is good because he's fresh.
Yeah.
So he like showed up at the end of the day yesterday, and he's like ready to go. Yeah, it's just been like, and I was the most fried yesterday. It was out of control. Just lots of conversations, lots of, customer problems, which is not fun, and like just kind of like literally splitting my brain in half. Plus the meetup was happening yesterday, and then there was like some other happy hour thing I was invited to for like former Methods guys, now at Spinner or whatever.
Cool.
And the meetup was sick.
Is that at Kern? That was at Kern, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Tiedeken told me to go over there, and Lance and I were playing cornhole.
nice. But like those sandwiches were really good.
Yeah.
And so I ate a sandwich, and I had brought my laptop over there to like, because I was planning on doing some stuff for John. And I got as far as getting my laptop out, and then I saw the sandwiches, and I told my buddy, I had my buddy hold my laptop, and I grabbed 2 sandwiches, and I ran back to the booth because I know that Troy and Graham hadn't eaten anything all day.
Oh.
And then chatted there for a little bit, grabbed some more people who were like, I was like, "You coming to the meetup?" And they're like, "When is it?" Like, "Right now." So I grabbed some people and like brought them back, and that was really cool. But it's like, so just like my brain is like toast. And then had dinner with Dan and like Ethan and Keaton.
Nice. How was that?
Really good. That was solid. The food, food was incredible. Company was incredible. Zach was on the other side. I didn't get a chat with him, but I'll see him again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
of course. Just sick show.
Awesome. Yeah, I am feeling equally fried. Like I've had a great show. I'm very happy to be here, but man, I'm very happy to sleep in my own bed tonight. So
yeah. When do you take off?
7, I think, p.m.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I've got a little bit of time.
Do you have a direct flight?
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
We were looking earlier. We're like, well, maybe we can get an earlier flight. Like, we only have one meeting left, and they all had like an hour and a half or 2-hour layovers. And we're like, screw it.
We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Direct.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, I get in at the exact same time, but it's worse.
Right.
Cool.
Right. I think we gained an hour, and
Yeah.
like, it's just not worth it. We'll
Right.
just go direct for sure. Yeah, we went to the Autodesk, or I went to the Autodesk event last night, and that was fun. Get to talk to some developers and people at Autodesk about just like the future of their software, which is a lot of fun and good company.
Pin them down and beat the shit out of them until they gave you answers.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was.
Yeah.
So, what are you excited to see at the show? Because you just got here yesterday, right, James?
No, I got here Tuesday afternoon.
Oh man.
So
my days have been just blurring together.
Yeah. So I got here Tuesday afternoon, and I think I rolled in about maybe 1:30 in the afternoon. So today, I think after we do this, I'm going to go head over to the Matsuura booth for a bit, and then probably around lunchtime, I'm going to start walking the show. And then
Nice.
I've got probably a dozen different things on my I've got to go check this out list. And then hopefully I can get that done in the half day that I have today, and then the whole day tomorrow. So I won't be in a booth at all tomorrow.
Awesome. What's on your gotta see list?
Some competitive stuff.
Oh, interesting.
So
Okay.
I always like to see what our competition's doing. What I really like to see is how they're copying Matsuura. I mean, but imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Right.
Then I heard from one of our sales guys that that a brand that we compete against from time to time, they said that the Matsuura MAM 72 was a copy of their machine.
I heard about this.
And
the other way around.
Those are the kinds of guys that really need to be publicly humiliated. That just begs for that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
that's very silly to say that.
Yeah. So I'm going to go look at some competitive stuff. Some stuff that specifically that I'm looking at is I want to see some new stuff in work holding. I have my favorites that just work really well, but I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything, because customers come to us all the time and say, "Hey, I have this specific problem, and I don't see anything on the market that will solve it. Do you know of anything?"
Right.
And so I like to try to bring as much value to our customers as possible. So that includes, a lot of research, a lot of talking to people, a lot of finding out what's out there.
Awesome. I mean, I think that's what brings a lot of us to the show, for sure. Like, we spent a little bit of time in tooling yesterday, went to a booth that we use a lot of WTO cool speeds, and just went to say hi and didn't think there was anything new. And then it ended up being that there was a fair bit of new stuff.
Oh,
and
cool.
We're actually going to trade out. We bought a new one 2 or 3 months ago and left it in the box because we ended up not needing it for the job we bought it for. And then they've come out with a brand new version. He was like, "Oh yeah, we can probably find a way to trade you up or something
Sick.
like that."
What's the difference?
They're adjustable now, so you can turn off a certain amount of jet. So if you have lower PSI, TSC,
Yeah.
you still get higher RPM and more torque.
Oh, cool.
Because it's not just like blowing a bunch past the impeller that it can't use.
That's sick.
Yeah. And then they have a more expensive one now that is ER11 based. And so it's not, you don't press the bearings on anymore. And It
Nice.
has live Bluetooth feedback to your phone, so you know exactly what RPM it's running.
That's out of control.
Yeah,
That's
and it
so
has
cool.
4x the torque of the normal ones.
Yeah.
Which torque is, that's like been the big limiting factor. Like a 2mm in titanium was bogging it.
Yeah.
So if I could run that, like, I would have saved hours on that titanium job I did recently.
Yeah, I can see that. That was an insane hog out.
Yeah. It's still, I mean, it's $7,000 or $8,000 or something, so it's not cheap, but still compared to a big, NSK spindle package or something like
Right.
that, it's half or a third, depending on what you go with. So it's still a very good price conscious solution for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how did your meetings go that you had?
Good so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Verisurf one was great. Like, the demo looked wonderful.
Cool.
It's based on Mastercam, so it's by far the only CMM software I've ever used. I'm like, oh, it just operates just like Cam,
Nice.
And Brad walked away from there. He was like, oh, I could easily run that. No
Nice.
problem. So
Has he programmed Mastercam for a long time?
we both were in school for Mastercam
sick.
together. So, like, we have at least a background in it. It's not foreign to us. And I don't know, compared to PC Demus or Calypso, like, anything that's cam based is going to look great. Yep. So that was a lot of fun. It was really funny though. Like, during the demo, it force closed, and the error that popped up was like the Mastercam Home Learning Edition error.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was so funny. It was like, oh yeah, I'm running it on a home learning license. I'm like, that's fine. Yeah, whatever.
That's
just
so
boot it back
funny.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you run it like, I mean, you might not, maybe I'll go ask them, but it's like, can you like run it inside of Mastercam?
That I don't know.
That would be
I know you can run it on a machine tool as well with like the Pro. Like it'll generate G code, I believe, because they had a robo drill there running it.
Oh, I need to go find that.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
You were asking if Verasurf runs in Mastercam?
Yeah.
It's basically a C-hook. So anybody that's familiar with Mastercam, C-hook is basically an external add-on that does a function or a number of functions.
Oh, so does it give you like an extra tab, like the cam plate thing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because people ask us all the time about
you,
like, do
you
use
need
CMMs?
you need Mastercam running in order for Verasurf to do its thing.
That's really slick.
Yeah, it's a really great product, and it's a mature product. I think a lot of people don't realize how long that Verasurf's been around, but I want to say it was first developed when Mastercam version V8 or V9 was it.
Holy shit.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, wow.
That's a really long time ago.
Yeah, I didn't think it would predate my use of Mastercam.
Yeah.
Like I learned on X4, I think.
Nice.
Okay.
So
Yeah. No, Verasurf's been around for a long time.
So what CMMs can you run that with? Like anything that's running open source stuff?
yeah. So Wenzel, I believe Renishaw's CMMs.
Okay.
Probably any of the smaller companies that
Nice.
allow you to do
the
that.
Haas, I think, is open source.
Leica, you can run a Leica on it.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
The Theodolite, I think that's what they call it, Theodolite, where you get
Okay.
it's got you got like a carbide ball with a mirror on it, and you you use it for like big things.
Oh, yeah, like airframes and stuff like that.
Airframes.
Oh,
and things
yeah.
like that.
okay. I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck are you talking about? I've never even heard of that.
Really big things, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, things that are hundreds of feet long.
Yeah, I was like thinking about table sized, and you're like, no, like a whole airplane.
Yeah, yeah. Well, nose to tail.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a really good meeting because it was the first one that both Brad and I just felt like, he was telling us that Joseph Alonso,
Yeah.
he bought it for his Wenzels and was using it for 6 months straight before he got the official training.
Oh,
just
that's
like
sick.
just jumped into it and started using it.
I love to hear that. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Is that guy at the show?
Yeah. He was at the meetup briefly yesterday. Yeah.
I only talked to like 6 people. How would you think of that guy?
Oh, cool. Really cool.
I introduced him to Alan Lynch.
Oh,
Yeah.
to Alan. That
Yeah.
guy's a stud.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite customers.
Yeah. I was like, you guys are doing the same thing. You should talk.
Yeah.
I saw him walking. That was one of the guys. I saw him walking, and I was like, oh, no, you're coming with me now. He was like, okay.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was really nice to meet him and kind of lament about similar customers.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured it would be like. You're like, oh, yes, I can talk to somebody about this.
Yeah. Yeah, he was saying that he's like trying to push towards a little bit longer lead time because that, 3 to 5 day stuff is
Yeah.
terrifying sometimes.
It's like good money, but you're like, I can't do this. It's not like it's unsustainable. It's just not very like fun to do forever.
How much hair do you want to have left at the end of the year
And
after
look at
doing
this guy. He's
this?
got great hair.
I just assume I'm going to go bald in the next 5 years at this
Yeah,
point. Like,
Oh, buddy.
yeah.
And then I think you mentioned on here yesterday that did you go talk to Rigo?
Yes.
And that was good?
Great meeting. Yeah.
Sick.
Really good meeting to talk to them about that. And then also they showed us the new vibration analysis tool.
Right.
I mean, crazy expensive, but really,
sure.
really cool. Like
How-
if you're trying to dial in a process to see
Yeah.
that kind of data, it's
MSC has those.
right. It's like into the 5 figures for the app and the
Oh,
tablet and the tool.
Yeah. That's why MSC has
That's why MSC has it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so that whole thing was really good. We got to meet a bunch of people. It turned out that the marketing person they wanted me to meet, it was the guy that I had already been emailing back and forth about being able to buy online. Like after I bought the master tools.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he was like, oh, I know your name.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, okay, cool.
Sweet.
Yeah, very small world, though.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I don't think I really have anything else. Like, I'm going to go talk to Hermlo a little bit later, go to Wenzel, see some people, say goodbye, get out of here.
Right.
Yeah. I've seen all the things that we needed to see.
I saw the coolest demo, our demo.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I keep sending people over to you. How long are you going to be here?
Through Saturday.
Okay.
Or Sunday.
Good. That's
Yeah.
what I've been telling people, and I'm like, I never talked to Chris about this. I should probably
Yeah.
make sure that I'm sending
Well, I
him
thought the show ended Friday for some reason.
Isn't Saturday like student days or something like that?
Yeah. So we're here through, and then I'll be here. I'll help pack out a little bit on Sunday, and then I got to go to California.
You're just gonna rip all the tool holders out and be like, these are mine now. And
Well,
bye.
I wish. I mean, they did. We did get a pretty sweetheart deal from. I think I said this already, but I don't know. I'm gonna say it again. The dude that runs, Shunk Tool Holding in the U.S., Jeff Wills. He listens to the show, and normally
Awesome.
it's like a 50% off deal or whatever because we're using them. And he's like, "Oh, just like dole them out to customers."
Oh,
you know?
that's killer.
So like
Sweet.
they can use some of them to like continue to make parts, and then just like as they start selling systems, just like here you go, because they do want to change, like buy smaller ones. We just got like the sickest ones,
Right.
you know. I initially only had like 6 or 7 hydraulic holders, and then Jeff was like, "You just want all hydraulic holders?" And it's like, I mean, sure.
Sure, yeah.
So we have like 6-inch gauge length platinum tendos in there, which is those are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But they work great, and I really enjoyed people being like, "How do you feel about roughing and with hydraulic holders?" As the
You're like,
AXFPS is like,
Right here.
yeah, we're like ramping at like 15 degrees.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. So we are kind of nearing the end of IMTS. What would make IMTS a win for both of you?
I mean, honestly, I already consider it a win. If I definitively got an order, that would be cool. But like so far, just meeting everybody was really sick. Doing this was really dope.
Yeah.
Like seeing like all the work that went into the demo, like being like the belle of the UR ball, and like kind of that whole section, like dominating that whole section has been really fun. So that's a win. Yeah, it's already a win, I would say. We're good.
All right.
We did it.
I would have to agree. I think some old customers that haven't been haven't updated their equipment in a long time have talked to us, and the discussions were really, really positive. And so I think that right there makes it a win, because now, you know, we're it's possible for us to get back in there after we've been gone for a little bit. So
Awesome.
yeah.
That's great. Do you guys ever have that conversation that, like, Chris and I joke with Joel at Frasia all the time that they make too good of tools, and so they last too long, and so we end up buying less. Do you guys ever think about that you know, there's so many Matsuuras that are like 20 plus years old making good parts still, and it's why would they update kind of thing?
I think I kind of see that as a positive, honestly. It is problematic in one way, because, you know, we've got the attention span, you know, really, really short attention span. So when somebody comes up with something, it's like, woo, shiny, let's go look at that thing. Meanwhile, you know, the blue Matsuura over there is just cranking away, you know, year after year, you know, decade after decade after, in some cases, and they kind of forget about it, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, what? We have all this, we have this new machine over there, and they told us it was the best thing since sliced bread, and now the A-axis has to be, you know, torn apart and down for 9 weeks and all this stuff, and it's like, man, those Matsuuras over there, they never broke down like that. I mean,
with the
yeah, we
giant-
smashed a couple spindles here and there, but, you know, that's a different discussion.
Do you see that loop a lot where customers kind of stray away from Matsuura and then regret it and come back?
I wouldn't say a lot. I've seen it probably half a dozen or so times, maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
You know, it's the going back to the whole Fanic thing. You know, a lot of people are like, Fanic sucks, and it's like, well, let's have a conversation at least. Let's talk about what your issues with it are, and then see if the Matsuura interface solves those problems. So Matsuura's got a new interface now.
Yeah, I was gonna say you should talk
And,
about that. It looks really cool.
I got so the you take the previous generation. So we have the newest that's available today. You take the generation before that. If somebody has never gotten training from it, they're going to have a really hard time figuring it out. What do I do first? What do I do next? So on and so forth. The latest generation, it's literally, if you look down the left side of the interface, you start at the top. It starts off with program transfer. After that, it go to the tool manager. After that, it's create the project. After that, it's assign the project to a pallet, and then after that, it's schedule the pallet. So it's boom, 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 and I could walk somebody through it, me driving, and not have to think about what you do first, what you do second, where is this menu item, where's that menu item. So the user experience developers at Matsuura just crushed it.
That's killer.
ABC, always be crushing.
Right.
When's that tattoo popping up, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's got to be on the knuckles or something.
ABC.
I love it. Well, any last thoughts, guys, before we wrap up?
No. No thoughts, just vibes at this point. Let's go.
At this point, just for the listeners, Chris is just literally vibrating in his chair. He is just ready to go. So, James?
Since you invited me on the previous time, I've gotten a lot of feedback from people that hadn't heard of your podcast before. So I think keep bringing on people that are interesting and do interesting things, because that's a lot of people are like, man, I don't get to hear about this. I have my city, I have my county or whatever, and that's all I ever really know about. So when you bring a guy in that makes custom bike frames and how that whole process works, people are like, that's freaking cool.
Oh yeah, I've got a lot. That IMTS has been fantastic for me finding new guests. And I've got so many people who have committed to coming on, so I'm super stoked.
You talked to Avi?
No, not yet, but I have his number, so nice. I'm planning on reaching out to him. But even Simon from Kern was like, oh yeah, because he was like, I want a shirt, and I was like, we're all out. I'll send you one in Germany. Like, can you come on the podcast? He's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Sick.
Yeah, all that stuff's gonna be great. Well, thanks guys so much. Let's go have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me.
And that wraps up the IMTS special episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I thought this provided a very different viewpoint than the last IMTS episode I had, where we wrapped it up a week or two later than the show. It was just so fantastic to have lots of past guests, some future guests on. Got to just, start the day off right, like I said, with Chris, and just have a ton of fun. It was so cool to see so many fans of the show walking by while we were recording and saying hi. And speaking of that, I want to give a big shout out to Dan and Tony and everybody over at Kern for making the Instant Machinist meetup such a success this year. We had such an amazing turnout, and I loved meeting everyone. It was just absolutely amazing. And so thanks to everyone who walked up and said hi and just got to introduce themselves. I don't want to start naming names because I know I'm going to miss somebody out, but just know that every one of the conversations was just so much fun, and it really made this IMTS so special. So thank you all so much for listening. New Patreon members, Ashley Wells, Robertson Machine Works, and the Patriot Machinist himself. Thank you guys for making the show possible. The Patreon members got to listen to all of these episodes day of. I uploaded them when I got back to the hotel at night as an extra bonus, and I'm going to try to do things like that in the future. Thank you all for listening, and I will be back next week.